Welcome to our last episode before Christmas, episode 162. Our pre-show went way longer than anticipated.
We have a lot to talk about on there.
Yeah, even though we just saw each other Saturday. Actually, a lot happened Sunday too, so a lot to talk about there.
Too
We are
busy
here.
and kissing babies.
Yes, Mike, and then he had to leave and go party with all the softball team, right?
Yeah, we had a Christmas party. It was a good time. We had
Nice.
some tacos. Actually, one of the dads was at the wrestling tournament, and he said, "I thought you were leaving." I said, "I am going to leave." He said, "Kim told me you're in charge of drinks." I said, "Yep, I got to go to the store and pick up drinks before I head over there." So I got to go get a bunch of mixed drinks, a mix of drinks, not mixed drinks for our kids. What's up, Eric?
So I got on the we did the broadcast with Anthony Hawkins. He did a pretty good job and had a lot of fun and great tournament at the Carnahan. First time I've been to the Carnahan, so that's a meat grinder.
Pretty good.
The past couple of years, they decided I was joking with Hawkins, and then Jason Sursus walked by, and we're like, yeah, I was like, you're probably a 4-time champ here, weren't you? He's like, yeah, but it's a little different now.
Yeah, I think that's back. I don't think Anthony was. I mean, Anthony maybe he was. I think he lost to Danny Bradley. Oh, I thought he lost to Danny Bradley there one year.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a few years, so he might have been just.
So it's probably a good match then. I mean, him and Danny Bradley had a nice series one year.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's pretty impressive to. You're not going to have any more for a while unless Bassett will be back. It sounds like, but he might actually be just wearing a Crown Point singlet next year. I heard, he had a nice tour of the facilities and really liked the school. So
that's what I heard. Him and Jack Forrest got a private tour of the new facility, new indoor football field, new weight room. I heard you got to go look at the weight room.
The weight room is pretty fancy. So they. So and I saw Bill hand them a paper bag. He said it was some a sandwich, some lunch and stuff. I don't know. So didn't say NIL or anything on the side or anything.
No. They said they're laying the groundwork for Rocca down the road.
Yeah,
showing you the baseball facility that they modeled after Wrigley Field.
Nice. Did they really?
Two brand new. The turf softball field and baseball field are going to be after Wrigley.
Nice. I better not show that to him then, or we're moving. Yeah. No. So it was a good time. Good tournament. Just tough top to bottom, and it's been it's interesting to see the transformation of that tournament that used to be Crown Point versus the world, and now Crown Point's lucky to get a couple finalists.
And across the board, like Indiana in general, had a handful of finalists. I mean, I don't know how far I could probably go back further to see how far they had it before it got tough. I know it started getting tough when Jesse was there.
Yeah.
Because I think they started inviting Legacy Christian, and it went from there.
Yeah. I know Lorick, when I was at Carroll, Lorick kept asking us to try to get in there. They wanted to see a Fort Wayne team, and it was the same day as we had a super duel we were hosting with a bunch of sectional teams, which
So let's see, 2018. Let's see the finals of 2018. Roberson beat Mason Longoria at 106 with 4 forfeits in the other weights. Nick Tattini over Zach Majera of Boone Grove with Fairhaven as a third placer.
Oh, wow.
Riley Benich over Giovanni Diaz. That's a good one. Yeah. Fairhaven, Boone Grove. Let's just go with the teams having go over the results. Yeah. So it's a little bit better now. Crown Point, Fairhaven, Boone Grove, Wheeler, Hebron, Morton, East Chicago, Hanover Central, and Hammond High. Ooh. So now it's some of the best teams in the country.
McCourt and those are some good teams now, and it sounds like they're gonna try to expand it a little bit more and boot out some the lower teams and.
Well, I mean, when you say boot out, it sounds heartless. I think they're going to try to get some more top teams. I think they want to expand it to a couple more states. Hey, man, not Wheeler now. Wheeler back then, man. Wheeler a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I think I think they would expand it to 20 teams because I mean after Ironman, some of the teams like Bishop Watterson only had a handful of guys that were able to go.
Yeah, I think that was they just got done football. That's what Bill told me. I was like, why'd they only? Because I know that from talking to Josh Lowe, I showed him the list. He's like, oh, Watterson has 3 or 4 guys that are like state championship level, and they're gonna have a solid team. And I'm like, okay, cool. That'd be good to see those guys. And Bill said that they went to football state, and their state goes the week after Thanksgiving, so they're just getting their feet wet. They didn't want to. Obviously, that's not exactly a good tournament to go to as your first event, but
No, I mean, Will and Paul went to Ironman for their first one, so I'm sure that wasn't great. That was probably a tough one.
Yeah, yeah. No, they Watterson has Ross Thatcher, who was Ohio State and Oklahoma University assistant coach there. They had someone else. Morrison was saying that, but they have some pretty good coaches. So that's a team. Hopefully, if they don't do as well, he's like they didn't expect to go that far in football, or they wouldn't have committed to the event. But they brought their kids. I think they did all right for what they had, so that they're pretty solid. You know, if they bring in a full team, but like you said, they're gonna bring in. I do like. You know what I want to get a pet peeve of is when you have forfeits in tournaments like that. Just put buys. Their forfeits don't mean anything. It's just getting your hand raised. It's for a stat padding win that means nothing.
But like if you do that though, like does it mess up your team score? Like I think they were saying like with the advancement points, like crown point, like not the advancement points, but the forfeit points into the bracket, they were losing points, right?
Yeah, because you'd get 4 points for that. If you win your next round, I believe after a bye you get 2 points for that previous advancement. So it would be a net of 2 points that you would get, but I don't know.
But they had buys. They had buys in the bracket. They didn't have forfeits in the bracket there.
Yeah, they did. So unless they did count buys as forfeits there, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. No, Indiana's the only state that puts forfeits in the bracket, which is kind of weird. when you see other states' brackets and you see like random, like if you look at their state series brackets, it's like 6, 8, 11. It's like, oh, what? Oh, they just put buys in. So I don't know. It's an Indiana thing, I guess. But yeah, it's been pretty cool to see them, the pride that Lorick and Hawkins and Sessa and them put into that event, and really said, you know what, we're gonna make this a premier event, and they did. They have, and it's gonna keep. What's scary is they're gonna keep trying to make it better.
Yeah, so what they had? They had PA, they had Pennsylvania, Indiana, Illinois, Tennessee, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin. So they had seven states represented.
Yeah.
I know they said they'd like to see 2 more states get represented in the next field. So, I mean, I don't know. Who do you add?
I don't know. You can get in. Iowa can't. I don't think Iowa can come. Missouri probably can't. I think Missouri can.
Kentucky can, right? Maybe we can get. Kentucky. I know. That's what I mean. It'd be good. I don't know. Are the Rainey brothers both seniors or?
I think they're still young. I think they're at the oldest. They're juniors.
Maybe
they're sophomores. They might be sophomores because they can wrestle with 7th and 8th graders, and I think they feel like they've been around for a while because I know we've seen them at the at Evansville a couple times already at the Modern Day Classic. So I think they're
sophomores. So maybe
that's what I was just getting ready to say there, Joe.
maybe get those guys. See if those guys are interested. I know those guys are high level guys.
Yeah. They're pretty young. They seem like they're those guys that, I mean, because we've seen them at the Modern Day Classic a couple times already. So it's like, man, these guys have to be like juniors, but they wrestled as at least 8th graders. So yeah, it'd be good to get them. There's some other good kids, really good program down there. So that'd be that's a program to get to try to bring in. It's right. They go to Ironman, so they might kind of balk a little bit at it, but at the same time, it's only a 1-day tournament. Ran really well.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't mess around. I don't know if they had a break before I got there, but they didn't.
They had a lunch right before you got there.
Okay, so yeah. Other than they need to keep the concession stand open so that we can taste their hot dogs. We got to start doing the hot dog challenge, I guess.
I've seen that, man. I'm not gonna steal Bones' glory, man. I think that's his thing.
Yeah, places where he doesn't go. Other than you saying that there's better food on the south side. I mean, what are they sprinkled with bullets or what?
Have you never been to U.S. Cellular Field or Guaranteed Rate Field? The food there is a lot better than Wrigley, and they don't have rats.
I'm not going to disagree with that. The food at Wrigley is, when we went this year, they have oat ice cream. Like what kind of hippie stuff is this? I want real ice cream.
The South Side has way better food, man. Wrigley has terrible food.
Yes,
the baseball right now. The baseball on the north side is better. The food on the south side is better. They got to bring the 25 fans that come in there. They got to feed them, you know.
Yeah, yes, they got to give them a reason to come in. Yeah, no, the cardboard pizza at Wrigley. I love Wrigley. Wrigley's a great place, but yeah, their food was left a lot to be desired when we went. And like, come on, you got. I mean, I'm sure I'm not like the craziest hot dog. I mean, I'll probably next time I will have to get a hot dog. I didn't get a hot dog, but I was like, this is nothing like jumps off the board at me. Which is kind of surprising. They all have like Italian beef sandwiches or some kind of Chicago staples there.
The cell guy's bone of beef, man.
Ooh, bone of beef. That's
a guaranteed rate. Like I call it the cell. You call it. I'm gonna forward you. Yeah, I'm gonna forward you this article. So I'm not lying. I just want you to know it's better. Anyone that's up here, you can get ribs there.
Oh,
it's pretty good.
Well, we'll add that to our list. We have we hit 5 stadiums this year, so we're Chicago's the White Sox is one that we're looking to hit that we can drive to. We were actually trying to get to it one time this summer, but just didn't work out. So we have some options.
Man, you can get those like deals. It's like $40 with an outfield ticket. It's all you can eat and all you can drink like an hour before the game. It's a killer deal.
Do you get a bulletproof vest when you go there, or is that optional?
It's not that bad. Well, I wouldn't venture out of the neighborhood, and but like other than that, it's not that
bad. Okay, so
I mean, it's no Fort Wayne, but
So anyway, back on topic. It's been really cool to see the pride that the coaches and the administration and everyone has taken within their programs. I've, as a coach, has helped with an event. You got to take pride in your events. You can't, if a team drops out, you got to do your best to fill it with another team. And it's one of those things that you can see some teams that do take pride in their events and teams that just don't really care. Coaches and admins that don't really care and just throw out whatever, just try to find any team, whatever. Oh, this team wants to come in. Okay, yeah. Without like screening them and, making their events solid and that's how you lose teams. I know I've heard some things about an event this weekend that didn't go too well and people are talking and that's not something you want hanging over your head. But, if you don't take part in the events, they'll leave.
And they did, and the Carnahan did have a team drop. Joliet Central Catholic dropped, and Bishop Knoll was able to jump in there, and good for those guys to get in that event. I mean, they had a couple guys get some wins, which a real big win at 106. I mean,
yeah.
But I'm sure we'll get to the results, but. I think they posted like on the IHSA board, and they responded and they said, "Hey, let's go in."
Yeah. So, I guess as it comes up, do we want to talk about a little bit the?
Well, let's finish Carnahan. We go.
Carnahan. So.
I mean, we were both there. Brownsburg ended up winning it.
Mm-hmm.
They won, right? And
they ended
Bishop
up winning.
Didn't have Mason Gibson, so we didn't get to see a Hockaday Mason Gibson match. But we did get to see a Hockaday Stanley match in the semis, which probably should have been the finals.
Yeah, Hockaday just killed his guy in the finals. It was a real good event. They shoot. I was trying to bring it up.
Yes, that Hockaday Stanley match at 32 was really good. I believe Evan was winning 2-0 going into the second period. Jake got a reversal, ended up winning 8-5. Jake got a tech in the final. Evan got a major, and then got a tech fall in the third and fourth place match. So that probably, but I mean, I know it's tough, like, because you do have a lot of variables. I mean, Tennessee's going to have a state champ possibly, and Michigan can have a state champ, and so that's really tough.
Yeah, the Cleveland Tennessee team was pretty solid. I was pretty impressed with them throughout the day. They came to wrestle and did pretty well for you're not expecting a Tennessee team to be that competitive. Where they finished, they were fifth. They're right behind Crown Point.
Ahead of Lowell, Michigan, ahead of St. Paris Graham.
Yeah, and some of those teams didn't bring their full lineups for whatever reason.
What was really cool too at the finals was, and we've talked about this before, but the state finals was that they switched the order of the finals to let 26, which is probably the toughest weight, be the last weight.
Yeah.
So they started at 32. Hockaday got a tech fall in the finals, wrestling really, really well. I thought he wrestled well at the Ironman too, like just tough weight class, but should have had Stanley Hockaday in the finals. That they'll probably see each other possibly this summer, maybe next year. Could have been a nice series to the state, but sometimes we in the region we lose into Illinois. 38. There's this really, really good guy. You can probably see if you want to go watch his matches, you can go to his page and see that he streamed it every single match.
Yes. Yeah. He's pretty good. Bassett is pretty talented. Just there's only like 2 or 3 high school kids in the country. Heck, college kids can't even give him a good match that can hold their own with Bassett, which is pretty impressive. But it sounds like they were very impressed with the event, and they're it's good to have put on a good event, well ran, and a team like that. They have a lot of connections, in Pennsylvania and other states and stuff, and be like, hey, this is a well ran event. Why don't you guys try to come?
Shepard, Bassett, Shepard in the semis. Bassett went. I mean, that might have been his best match too. I mean, 34 seconds, a pen 5. I mean, that sucked for Zach Stewart of Marmion. I think he was a champ there last year, or he did really well there last year, and then he draws. He was a runner-up there last year, 120, and then he draws Bassett in the quarters. Then Shepard, and then he gets a pin in 134. Shepard Ison on the backside was a really good match.
Because Stewart ran it back for fourth, lost to Shepard.
Shepard had a really good tournament too.
Yeah, and you have Damien Resendez in that bracket too. Resendez lost to Stewart. Resendez didn't even place.
Yes,
Ison was an Ironman placer that got 5th.
So you have Shepard was unseeded, drew the number 4 seed right off the bat from St. Paris Graham, got a major. Wrestled Resendez, so a Crown Point versus Crown Point match out there. Resendez is a Crown Point kid at Mount Carmel. Tech fall 17-2, lost to Bassett. Goes on the backside. Wrestled Brady Ison. Ison lost early on. I believe he got pinned. I think Brady was a 2 seed, got pinned in the quarters. And then Shepard beats him 3-1 and then gets a major over Zach Stewart, who was a runner-up there last year, 16-3.
Yeah, the Stewart kid was 8th last year. Got 2nd at 120. He lost to Jackson Bloom. Yeah, he's pretty. That Stewart kid's pretty good. That half bracket is loaded already. Without. I mean.
Yeah.
That'd be an 8-man bracket. 7-man.
I remember texting with Joe Stanley last year because Zach Stewart had this really good win over Jake Hockaday, 8-4 there last year.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, who is this kid in the semis that just beat Hockaday? They had knew him. He had wrestled Vegas, I believe, before that. He's like, yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a pretty good weight class. And then Bassett just kind of walks through it, which tells you just the level of. I mean, you take Bassett out of there. I mean, that would have been a fun weight class to watch no matter what. And Resendez, he was a placer? He was a placer there in Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't even. He lost to Stewart, and Ison lost to Boone, ends up beating him for 5th. So I think he was up, wasn't he? From what I recall.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he's winning and he got pinned. It was pretty tight.
Yeah.
So then we get to possibly run that Shepard Ison back in a couple of weeks when we talk about the team state stuff.
Yeah.
So. 44. Two out-of-state guys there. Best Indiana placers. Acuna did not place. He's at Mount Carmel. Parker Reynolds was 4th. Parker wrestled well too.
Yeah, he's starting to get his his feet underneath him and start going, and he's gonna continue to he lost to that guy that ended up winning at 8-2. Dundee kid had some close matches, so he's right in there with any of those guys in the finals. A pretty solid weight class. That same Herring kid, I think he's the backup technically for McCourt, but I'm pretty certain he's pretty solid. You got Acuna, who's pretty good also. That's a pretty, just kind of just a deep weight class right there.
Yeah.
So, 50, Melvin Miller, he's pretty good. That was a real good match. Duca True from Arrowhead Union in Wisconsin. So that was pretty, Gibbs got 3rd. Fairly kind of top heavy weight class.
Gibb had a nice win over Kelly from Mount Carmel. Had a 1-0 win over Evan Cruz. Mm-hmm. Herring was a Greco World Team member, so yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
So I told you he wasn't bad.
Tommy Gibb. And we get to see a lot of Crown Point Brownsburg matchups, so kind of adds to that debate a little bit more.
Yeah.
57. Enright Mount Carmel kid in the finals ended up losing to Margot of Bishop McCourt.
Mason Day versus Van Tichel.
Mason Day got 2 wins over Van Tichel there. The first one was
7-3. Second one was 5-3.
And then another kind of those guys kind of hit, and that's going to be one of those matches that it's going to be a big swing match when they meet up. 65, Reinhardt was in the finals. He ended up losing to Logan Fowler of Cleveland, Tennessee.
Yeah, that was a good. Fowler he had some real good shots and was able to, Reinhardt got into his positions, his little sit out thing, and Fowler kind of figured out how to keep out of that position and ended up scoring a couple of takedowns on him, and got a little bit, it was close at the end, but it was a good match. Like I said, Cleveland, Tennessee I knew they were solid, but they performed pretty well. I was pretty impressed with them overall. They had some pretty solid kids up and down their lineup. Getting a champion there, not easy. So, congrats to them.
Derringer ended up 6th. Jesse Derringer, so 75. Colin Kelly was really good for Mount Carmel. I know he's not an Indiana guy, but he is tough. Tech fall, 16-8 final. Pretty good. Top Indiana guys, Campbell of Brownsburg was 6th. Had another Clark in the lineup. And I thought he wrestled well, Ben Clark, especially being there,
Yeah.
First varsity matches, not easy.
They beat the 4 seed right off the bat, so that's a good, good win to start your career off. And I'm sure that guy was probably either ranked or had a little bit of credentials. So and he's gonna keep getting better. From what I've heard, he's pretty mean, which is kind of scary because when the other two look like they're not very nice people on the mat, they're really good. Really nice kids off the mat, which I'm glad. But on the mat, they do not seem like they are there to make friends, exchange Christmas cards, or anything.
Yeah. No, and they said he's probably the meanest of the boys. So. Yeah. 90, Gunnar Henry had a good win over Rylan Breen. Breen placed at, was he a placer at Ironman?
Possibly. I'd have to check. I know he doesn't have a link on his thing, but Henry had 2 wins over him actually.
Yeah, Gunner wrestled well. Ended up third. I thought that kid from Bishop McCourt looked pretty good. Panacero looked like he was pretty solid. Breen was not a placer at Iron Man.
He did not play. Lucas Zimborski.
Yeah, so kind of interesting. It sounds like he was a runner-up. Sounds like Lucas Zimborski might be coming back to Indiana down the road. So he was an Indiana guy. They're an Indiana family. So
his family.
We could see it. Huh?
Still has family in the area. I don't know if his grandma's allowed in the at wrestling meets anymore. I think she was pretty crazy from what I remember about 15 years ago or so. So 215 got the all Indiana final. Last two weights had all the Indiana finals. Clark and Brewer. Will Clark was not getting paid by the hour.
No, he had a really good day.
Yeah, he didn't spend much time on the mat. Pinned Brewer in 102. So that's one of those that you see those Brownsburg Crown Point matches, and you're kind of making notes about when they wrestle, what are you kind of expecting? And a pin's huge in that duel. So if Crown Point does that again, that's huge in that duel because there's going to be a lot of really tight matches, and a pin's going to kind of give you some extra cushion. Heavyweight.
Yeah, I think that Brownsburg or Crown Point and Mount Carmel duel also. I know that's turned into a nice little rivalry, and Will Clark had a fall of Jacobson there too.
Yeah, that's good. 285. Paul Clark over Maximus Forrester. Forrester had a good day. He beat the 2 and 3 seeds to get through. Both were state qualifiers, state placers, and seems he's going to be one that's going to keep getting better and better. And he was in the match with Clark. Clark had to do a little bit more work than I think a lot of people, including myself, kind of had anticipated, and it was 2-2 going into the second period. Let me pull up
well, I think the more mat time Maximus has, I think the more he's gonna get more comfortable, and he's just gonna keep improving. We talked about that last week with the coaching staff that they have there. I wouldn't be shocked that that's a match that's right in the mix for a state championship.
Yeah. So it was no score in the first period. Paul Clark got near fall.
Those are not just looks. Zach said he joked. Yeah, like those are not just looks. He's actually super strong in the weight room too.
Yes, and then Forrester got a reversal in the second, and then Paul got a reversal and pinned him in the third. But yeah, they the one Paul had him on his butt, was getting ready just to push put him on his back, and he just sat up and I couldn't stop it. Like that's some strength. You have someone, Paul's probably 270, 260, 270 on top of you, and then you just sit up with them on top of you so that was...
Undertaker?
yeah, pretty much. That's what it... So yeah, he's going to be one to watch. I don't know if he can push Clark, and beat him this year, but he can, they can definitely... He's getting better. He got better from Iron Man to this week. He's going to get better the next couple weeks. I guess we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on this week. There's not a whole lot, but Brownsburg has a triple duel with Maris and another team. Might be double, triple this week, and that's all they have. They're not going to Brecksville or anything, so they're kind of going a little.
I think they said it was on Sunday this year, so they can't go.
Yeah. So they're kind of going a little low key this which after the last 2 weeks they you got to have ebbs and flows in your schedule. Some people do. Mount Carmel does not.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
106. No Cash Mays for Brownsburg. They got Eli Ogle there. I don't believe he plays. Tegan Newell did not place. I think he lost his first two. He did. Francisco Rodriguez, man, Bishop No Warriors, last second ad. I think he's a junior. Come out, pin the number 4 seed, 332. Ended up being the only Indiana placer. Was sixth there. So shout out to the Bishop No Warriors, man.
Hey, that's how you do it.
Hey man, he wasn't on the watch list. I don't think he was on the semi-state watch list, but he went out there and did his thing now, man. So congratulations.
Yeah, that's huge. You go out there and that Arrowhead Union has a pretty solid team. I was looking up, kind of where these guys are ranked and stuff, and they have a couple, some pretty good guys there. So,
Brevin Dickman had a really good day.
He's a monster on top.
Yeah, he's really good. Justin Williamson wrestled him tough. Justin Williamson, a Homer guy at Mount Carmel. So Indiana kid lost to him 4-0. Other than that, pin for Dickman. Wrestled really well.
Yeah,
Lewis.
Third.
He lost early on to Chase Walker. I think he came back and beat him. Yeah, he came back and beat him. We had a little Hobart showdown. Williamson and Lewis, sudden victory. Lewis took that one, so Williams ended up fifth. Lewis ended up third.
So Zach Johansson trophy.
We always say it's for dibs at Lincoln's who gets first in line. But I think since they both left, they don't get to go to Lincoln's anymore.
They're banished.
No, I don't know. They probably still do.
Yeah.
The ladies at Lincoln's are so nice. They probably still go in there.
Yeah. 120. No comment. That's the first time we've actually kept Johansson from commenting. That's a first. Mark this day down. 120. Preston Haynes was third. And Gendris was Gavin Gendris came out of the 7 seed, 8 seed.
Yeah, good win for Gavin Gendris over Nick Garcia. Ran into the finals.
Yep, I didn't realize he was. I was like, oh, he was in the finals, but yeah, he was.
That might have been a poorly seeded. That might be a poorly seeded bracket, guys. What was that? The 7th and 8th seed for the championship?
Yeah, looks like it. Or a 6 seed. 6 and
7. We got to do better, guys. We got to do better there.
Yeah. Hey, you guys know someone that wants us? We can seed something. Just give us a call.
We'll do our best. Yeah. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
26 probably the best. I think the best weight there. They had 3 guys ranked in the country there.
Yeah.
They moved it to the last. Jack Forrest, Seth Mendoza for the championship, 8-5 for Jack Forrest. Forrest is 2, Mendoza's 4. Landon Hawkins lost to Jackson Bloom of Lowell, Michigan. And then Twice, who's ranked 10th, lost. It was a way closer match the second time. But Hawkins beat Cade Cluse, who is he a 2-time Michigan champ?
I believe he's a 3-time.
So 3-time Michigan champ, beat him 1-0. I know he was a runner-up before.
One of those guys, Bloom, I was thinking Bloom was from somewhere else, but yeah, one of those guys is a 3-time champ going for 4. But they're both they're both pretty good.
A really good match, Braylon Reynolds and Hawkins. Dude, it was close. I thought Reynolds had a takedown. I think you got that right after that, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I thought Reynolds had the takedown. I believe Kyle Ayersman thought he had the takedown. I mean, it was close, but Hawkins didn't give up a point. Didn't give up a point. The 2 wrestlebacks lost to Bloom 2-0, but really tough, man. You lose to the guy number 10 in the country, he's third.
Yeah, that was a real good weight class. Good finals match. Really contrasting styles. The McCourt kids are really good with elbow ties, and if you're hanging in ties, they will exploit you. Kind of what happened in Gendris's match. He gave up a couple takedowns, just kind of getting, just not being active in his ties, and they're really good at grabbing your elbows. Forrest was great with that. Got Mendoza a couple times. Mendoza did not wrestle like he usually does. They definitely said, hey, you can't go at this kid like you do everybody else, or it's going to be real ugly, because he's offensive, but he's really good defensively. And if you just keep going at him, you're gonna play right into his game plan. So it was a really interesting match of strategy and stuff, and just kind of a contrast of styles. But one thing I did notice with especially Forrest and then the guy at 120, they both had some really good elbow ties and just elbow passes, arm passes, whatever you want to call them. That they did a real good job in that stuff. So if you want to watch some good ties and stuff, watch those guys wrestle and teach your kids how to do that, because people are going to get lazy in ties. Trust me, especially the high school.
Well, I think and those are all like archives. So you have, I know Flo did some with no commentary, like all day. RSN Region Sports had some, and then we had the finals. It seemed to have like 5,000 views, so not bad, not bad.
So yeah. So yeah, good day wrestling, and great to see an event like that in Indiana, 2 hours away, and stuff. And yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
What other events took place last week?
Marion County for sure. Which one do you want to?
Went over some of those results. The dual results from the week. Let's see. Cathedral, Chittard, Adams Central. Let's see if there's any big ones to talk about dual wise. Not really during the week. Avon, Zionsville, Greenfield Central, Rensselaer, Hobart. Rensselaer beat Hobart, I believe, right?
Yeah, that was a good win for Rensselaer Central.
Propelled them into the.
Going back to that North Posey or Posey, Mount Vernon and Posey comment. Like, I think that really helped Rensselaer Central's resume, having a win over Hobart.
Yeah.
And I know there's been some, and I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit more, but like people are like, well, what do we got to do to get in? Like, find the teams that are on that cusp and wrestle them, teams that are in. Like, it helps build your resume. Like, if we were talking off air, like Greenfield Central wrestles one of the toughest schedules early on. Yeah. And I don't know how their football team is, but they had a who's who of teams that are on the brink, teams that are in, bigger teams. And I think moving it to 12, I felt personally that those guys shouldn't be punished for going out and wrestling a really tough schedule when you have other teams that don't have anybody that's notable. And sometimes that's, geographically it's hard, but you can find someone within a couple hours that's in. I don't think it's like, everyone's 2 hours from Jay County.
Yeah.
So that really helped them get in. That was a really good duel. They said there was a huge win at 132. Hobart wrestled Mata up. Mata was in the rankings at 26, and the kid ended up getting a pin. So I should probably give him a shout out, give his name here instead of just saying the kid. The kid. Levi Knoth, or Knoth. So Levi was 1-4 at the LaPorte duels, got a huge win over Mata. That's a huge win. And I was talking with the Rensselaer guys, like, you never know how the individual side's gonna go, but when you're in those matches and you're in the duels and that atmosphere, and Hobart does a great job. I don't know, I think it was at Hobart. They do a great job of making those duels feel big. They have the spotlight. They're really promoting the sport. They get a good amount of crowd out there. Like, Hobart's a strong community for wrestling. That might be like one of the biggest matches of that kid's life. Like, you're part of the team. Like, you're not always going to wrestle for a state title. A lot of guys aren't going to wrestle for medals. A lot of guys are not going to make it to the semi-state. But for him as a freshman, that's huge. Being in those big atmospheres like that, knowing that like that pin might have put his team into the team state, like, that's huge. I mean, and that's not just talking about like the other kids that did their job, but that's probably not a match that they thought was going to go the other way. I'm sure, like, if I asked Zach off air, like, he's probably, we thought Mata had that one. And Mata's really good. He wrestled really well at the Harvest Classic. I thought him and Bennett was a really good match.
Yeah. No, that's huge. It's good, making those events. I was at the Garrett DeKalb match earlier this year, and they turned the lights off. They had kids run from down the bleachers and had smoke fog machines and stuff. That's pretty cool. It's a cool experience, and make it something fun to go to. Seen a lot more spotlights I will say I have heard heard. Well, I was talking to a photographer the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, I hate the spotlight because it's hard to get good pictures." But yes,
Zach, the presents are almost done. I'm telling you, man. We need to be at East New Haven. We need to be at Dave Doctor's house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think not that, even that, letting kids pick their own music. You know, to an extent, you gotta kind of vet it, I guess, a little bit. But it just changes. I think I remember the first time I got to pick my walk-up song in college. Both those guys see that as a swing match that both the coaches on opposite sides to Hobart had. And I think it just feels better, right? It gives you something to strive for. I think even when I was a freshman, there was still nylon to lycra singlets, right? And getting into a lycra singlet at that point was a huge thing because this nylon, scratchy singlet wasn't great. It was a hand-me-down from the 80s. And you struggle to get something better. So I think getting into those matches and having those, making the duels feel like they're a big event, I think is huge. It's really good for the sport and getting the younger guys there and getting your youth club in there to watch. I think really helps build your program, build your community.
Nice. So yeah, definitely make an event. I know Derek Snyder's talked about a lot. Get a DJ there. Walk-up songs and stuff like that. Make sure they're appropriate, but
yeah, I think that's that's the hard. Everyone has a clean version, right? Last week, yeah. I guess I had to go back a page. There were some good duels. I mean, Maryville beat Chesterton. Or was that 2 weeks ago? Crown Point beat Lake Central 57-3.
That was last week, yeah. Zionsville Cathedral. Cathedral won. I thought I had
Highland
on track, but
they said Highland beat Lowell for the first time in 20 years.
Wow,
that's a good run for the Lowell Red Devils. 20 years over one team in your conference. Good.
Yeah. So New Haven.
Hope does do good intro videos. Yeah. They've done it for years. They do a really good job.
Yeah, Crown Point had a good intro video. Before the finals and right before the Mount Carmel match, other than the fact that they had one of my kids getting pinned, so I didn't like that. So I did send a sternly worded email.
They said that your two pro Brownsburg, they had to put that in there just to give that dig.
Nice. So yeah, Avon won the New Haven 10-way. I believe they beat Adams Central in the finals.
Avon's pretty good. Avon's pretty good.
Yeah, they're pretty solid.
They're putting some miles on their cars, man. Those parents, because they were in Evansville a couple times.
Yeah.
They're up in Fort Wayne. We just got to give them the region.
Yeah. They.
Mike does
do
good stuff.
Prairie Heights. Where's Prairie Heights not on the list here?
Are we still trying to do stuff with Mike too? Zach said Mike does great intro videos. He did those two Crown Point movies. What is it, Region 219?
Yeah.
Check them out, man. Check out his stuff. New Haven Avon was the finals.
Okay, I thought I saw that, but then I didn't see Prairie Heights on my list of. So yeah, New Haven Avon was the finals, so that should be. Avon's pretty darn good. Adams Central Prairie Heights wrestled for third, with Adams Central winning. Sounds like it's a pretty good match. Let's see, what else did we have? The Henry Wilk. A lot of good matches at the Wilk. The Legend.
Local 219. Local 219. They used to do hot wing tasting on there too. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it looked like I might as well just go to the results because they're already in the database. Both Penn and Mishawaka went 5-0. New Pal went 3-2.
Setting up the showdown, man. Setting up the big. That's the one I need to get to. That's the one I haven't been to that I need to get to.
Yeah, that's one. Hey, that's Wednesday. That's this Wednesday. I was debating if I should try to go, but kids have school. If they didn't have school Thursday, I would probably do that. I would try to go. But
we're playing an indoor softball game. But man, if we weren't, that's one I need to get to.
Yeah. I want a good I think it might be a little bit better at the Cave because I think that their venue is a little bit more intimate. You're on top
I
of
feel like
things.
Steve's more welcoming. Steve's a more welcoming person. He's a good person, good guy. Not that the Penn guys aren't, but I just feel like me and Steve we're like brothers from a different mother, man.
Yeah, but you get free froyo at Penn meets.
I've never got free froyo at front of Penn meets. Well, I've never been to a Penn meet either. So.
Man, throwing some shade at Harper. Harper, I know you're not watching, so don't worry. He's too busy doing other things, but some good matches there. You had New Pal. You had some Team State, 3A Team State matches. Mishawaka over Snyder. New Pal beat Snyder. And then,
that was a good goal because I think it had come down. It just landed where New Pal was really good at the end, and they closed out really well.
Yeah, let's see where New Palestine. New Palestine beat Homestead, Snyder, Penn beat New Pal fairly handily, 48-19, and then 34-33 Mishawaka over New Pal. So
that's blasphemy right there, Paul. I don't like that at all. Yeah. That's why we need to go to the Cave. They might stop the duel at Penn for a basketball game and move it to the field house.
that would not be surprising. And I can't believe and someone like Brad Harper doesn't have a pull there yet. Yes.
I feel like that's an old Maryville move. Like every time I want to be in that Maryville gym, and then we'd always end up in the field house, standing up trying to see the matches.
So Penn beat Snyder 49-28. Homestead 49-26. They beat New Pal. New Pal, did they wrestle? Yeah, New Pal beat Snyder 42. So a lot of good matches there. A lot of you had teams from Fort Wayne, you had teams from Newcastle, South Bend area, and South Columbus North was there. Some good matches there.
Yeah.
Columbus North beat Snyder 39-36. So it's a good win for the Bulldogs.
I think especially, and I'm sure we're going to talk about it a ton, but like getting to something like that, like especially right before the vote, if you're trying to get into that vote and trying to get into Team State, like those are the results you want. Like wrestle teams that are in. Penn's really good, and Penn ended up declining the invite. Like they weren't sure if they're going to get it or not. But I think Penn's a really solid team.
Yeah, we were talking about that in our text. I don't know if it was just me and you or with the group, but I'm like, if you're a team that's on the edge right there and wanting to make your, make or break, you're going to make or break your resume right there. And I'd rather make it than, wait for, see if a Snyder maybe beats one of those teams. And, I know Snyder's in, but say Snyder's on that bubble too. And they went and they beat Mishawaka. And now, now they're, that gives them a leg up. Go to events like that. That's a great event. And, solid teams. You got a lot of 3 and 4A teams there that are going to be in the mix, and you don't have to beat a Penn. If you stay within 10, 15 of Penn, and you're a 3A or 2A team, that's significant.
Oh, yeah.
If you win 4 or 5 matches against them and say, hey, dude, we're obviously we're not at their level, but we're also 3A or 2A, and that's one of those things that if you're on that bubble or you think you're going to be on that bubble, try to get in that event. I know they've had some teams in and out of that thing, so that tournament. So
yeah, I think the Wilkes a good one. Like Tom Cameron was a good one. Like they have a lot of good results there. Trikoff, obviously, like Franklin wrestling with the Trikoff really pushed him to the top. And I think the Ron Colley Super Duel like really helped New Pal with the resume. So I think things like that is like get in there to those matches, like try to get those things going, like. And those guys are always looking for tough teams. I don't think it's a matter of like if you're a solid squad, they're gonna want you in their event.
Yeah. And that's it's seeking those events out. I know we'll talk about a little bit later about kind of a little bit the voting process, and you're looking at a resume, and it's not always wins, but it's also some of the losses. Like, hey, they wrestled that team tough, and even something like that New Haven 10-way. You have Adams Central, you have Avon, Bluffton's at Team State, McConaughey was at Team State, New Haven was in on the vote, Prairie Heights is at Team State every year, Yorktown was in consideration. Jeez, so that's almost every team there.
Yeah. And that's it. Those events are like what's gonna like get you in there. Like honestly, because dude, the amount of information that's compiled, and Dane does an amazing job. Shout out to Dane. Like tough week for Dane. I'm not gonna go into all this personal stuff. But like really hard week for him. Still on the grind, making it happen. Still did the show. I know you're like, how's that show gonna look without Dane? Yeah. He's Kyle Ripken out there, the Iron Man. But he gets a ton of information to us, and he couldn't be in the vote. He had some stuff going on. He was in the vote. He submitted his votes, but he gives you all the information. Well, we're not having to hunt through, IndianaMat. We're not having to hunt through other results and everything. It's like right there. It's like, hey, man, we can make the best decision we can make, and you have to check it some.
Yeah. So
Joe Hansen said you guys can get the Homer Super Bowl 2024.
Yeah. So So that was a pretty good event, and that's always good to, like we said, go seek those teams out in those events, and if you just, end of the season, you're seeing your team's not going to be in the mix, but you're going to bring in some good freshmen, or you have some guys that didn't wrestle the sectional level, sectional for whatever reasons, and hey, go to those events. They are always, you gotta find an open weekend. And I think Homestead was new there. So was Columbus North. So was New Pal, and those are all real good teams, solid teams.
And they're gonna be
young. They're gonna be they have some solid guys.
New Pal's gonna be good. They have some young guys.
Yeah. So all those teams, if they're back, I know that was a good. It was good to see. Andy's like, yeah, we're going over to the Henry Wilk. I go, oh, that's a good test for you. You get out of your comfort zone and go wrestle Penn, Mishawaka, New Pal, all those teams. That's a good day of wrestling, and you get to see some different competition and measure yourself and get back to work. So,
I think there is a lot of parity across the board outside of the top big three. Yeah, Nate, dude, I love that 10-way. Second week of December. I think that's great. Like that helped out a lot too. Like getting that event with those guys. What else?
The John McKee was this weekend.
Rochester John McKee.
Yep, Rex Moore from Manchester was down at 6, so that's going to take up the rankings a little bit.
That's a good spot for him. Good win over Deacon Barbosa.
Yeah.
Deacon Barbosa's tough. I know he was in the rankings, so both those guys. That was really good.
Braylon McIntyre from North Miami had a good tournament. He's North Miami's kind of sneaky good in 1A. Their 1A is kind of hard to kind of judge as far as like you kind of know the teams that are always good there, but North Miami, they're pretty solid. They might be able to pull a couple upsets. Good. They have some solid guys.
Good win for Bo and Keith. Yeah.
Bo and Keith. Yeah. Over correct. That was a good win. Lane Horn over Rafe Keefe. Blake Mock from Elkhart won at 32-38. Jackson Bradley.
Over Cam Dews. I said I was going to get Cam Dews in the rankings too. He was about 2 ranked guys there.
Jalen Pugh from Hamilton Heights. Cohen Lundy. I know Lundy's either on the watch list or in the
Tayden Chambers, West Noble, good guy. I know he's pretty high in the semi-state rankings.
Yeah, Wyatt Davis of Rochester up at 150 over Carson.
He had a good day.
Yeah, that's
good. He had a win over Jaden Jett and Carson Fittick, unranked Wyatt Davis, former state qualifier.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. That's good for a good day for him, especially going in right in the team state. Michael Kane over Tegan Klaus.
Overtime match too. That's a good one.
Brant Beck over Levi Abbott, 4-3. That's a good match. 2 state qualifiers. Right there. Another good weight class. Hartley Hoover of North Miami. Declan Guard of Rochester. 22 matches already.
That's us. Brady Bird has a ton of matches. I think he had 27 matches already.
Jeez. 190, Colin Wigan over Paul Duvall of Caston. And then Alex Deming over Noah Parks. And 285, Brady Beck over Spencer Watson.
Former state qualifier, Spencer Watson.
Yeah, wasn't he a state qualifier like 170?
I thought so. Maybe 182.
Yeah, that's a little bit. He's put on some weight. So yeah, I didn't even realize Scotty Wash was in the event until the last one. So, Beck's pretty tough. He put on some weight, and he's going to be in the mix there. Heavyweight's going to be a fun one out of East Chicago for sure. It's going to be we're going to be praying for good draws for everybody.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, man. Good luck. Jeff Classic. Oh, it was a good event. What was the thing? Like, I see the T-shirt. Was it?
Grandma got ran over by a reindeer, or yeah.
I think Danny
always does a real good job with that event, with the T-shirts and stuff.
Danny does a good job of promoting Jeff Wrestling overall. They do a really nice job.
That's like if Grandma got ran over by a reindeer. It's a pretty cool shirt. If I didn't have too many shirts already, I probably would have bought that one. That was a pretty good one. He does a really good job with that.
City shirt. I need the Greco City shirt.
So yeah, Jeff Classic. Where'd it go?
Jackson Jean champ there. See, pretty good freshman out of Bloomington South. 12-4. Got a 14-second fall in the finals.
Not getting
Tom
Nope.
Tom Wynn, champ. 18-1. I know he had some pretty good wins over some Kentucky kids. Will Hurowski, a Fisher, that I know he's had some good wins too. 9-8 tiebreaker 1. Pretty good match. So Luke Kreitchinker of Jennings County, 120. Critcher, but you can say it, man. You got it.
Chase Yant. Fisher's having a good season. He only had one loss. Yeah, they have quite a few Kentucky teams, and I think a couple of them are pretty solid. Didn't won like last year. Yeah, they won this year. Oldham County. They won by half a point over Bloomington South. So
Armin Pratt, another tough freshman from Bloomington South, had a really good win like 2 weeks ago, or had a real tight loss. I forgot what it was. It got sent to me in Triple B. It might have been like a 1-0 loss to I have it in front of me, but it was a good match.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, Xavier Gonzalez over Kellen Carter. Gonzalez from
Tyron Leonard of Fishers was in the rankings too. Lane Kirchner. Watch this guy. That's a good weight.
Yeah. Wyatt Cooksey from Bloomington South over Deacon Dressler. Gibson Southern. Griffin Sanders, Mooresville over Carson Bohall.
Both those guys really young. Cooksey's a sophomore. Deacon Dressler, freshman.
Yeah. I think Bloomington South has a pretty young team right now. They're what would be considered by them kind of a little bit down, but I think they're going to, by the end of the year, they're going to be pretty solid, and then the next couple of years, they're going to be pretty, right back to where they're in the talk for like team state stuff. 57, Miller Brown of Oldham County over Steely Lynn. That's a good name. Mooresville.
I like that.
Steely. Have they talked 3?
No, we have not talked any of the. We haven't got the team state yet. We'll get there. We want to do some results.
Yeah. Evan Raudebush over Xavier Smith. That's a good match.
Yeah, two state ranked guys there. Jack Rose also real good. Gibson Southern kid.
Tristan Mullet over Bo Rose. Mullet from Kentucky.
There's two things that like people the teams state stuff that we revealed was in alphabetical order. That was a hot topic. People thought we were putting seeds out. And then the power pool, people get so mad about the power pool.
Oh, jeez. Oh, goodness. Oh, my. Yes. And then they're like, well, the last ones aren't in order. That's because they're the vote in. Oh, my God. Do I have to put, like, a disclaimer on what on those graphics? Or
I love that people, like, will complain about the rankings, and then, like, whenever you say something, like, yeah, but I don't even care about the rankings. Then why are we talking about it? Cody Shoemaker.
The thing that got people more hot and bothered was the order of those names. I figured alphabetical order would be best, but I guess for now on I'm doing my favorite mascots. Sorry, South Adams, you guys will always be last.
Gymtown Jimmys, man. Gymtown Jimmys. Hobart Brickies, Gymtown Jimmys.
Yeah.
Ben Lamb, the champ at heavyweight. So, really, I mean, tough tournament. They do a good job. Oldham County was the champ over Bloomington South. We said that earlier.
By half a point. Columbus East invite. Go over that real quick. Terre Haute South beat Columbus East by 6.5 points. So that will be interesting to see for like Team State.
Yeah, real big match at 106. Royce Malone over Tyler Jessup, 2 state ranked guys there.
Gavin Ash over David Bowman, 2 Monrovia kids.
Isaac
Monrovia
Ash.
crime.
Yeah, Monrovia pretty tough down low. Monrovia, Isaac Ash over John Orman. John Orman had a really good week last week. Peyton Richards still undefeated at 126. Solid kid out of Switzerland County. I think Switzerland County kind of building it up too. And I don't know who Josiah's lost from Terre Haute South is. He's 14-1. He's really good though.
We'll have to look that up. See if we can find it.
Lane Falkenberg, champ at 38. Caleb Cooper over Gabe Rose. I know those are 2 guys ranked in the Evansville semi-state. Nate Anderson, champ at 150. Coy Bender over Lincoln Cooper. Good win for Coy Bender. Both those guys. Is Lincoln in the state rankings currently? I know he's been in and out of the state rankings.
I don't believe he's in there right now.
I did the 30 one of the weights again.
Yes.
On the last race.
Yeah. Which one? What were you doing this week?
He lost a stud out of Illinois. I don't know. I like to just let it flow and see. I'm not sure. Clayton Miller, champ at 165. Clayton Miller, freshman for Columbus, he's at 165. Yeah. Cooper McCloy, champ at 175. Count side. Terre Haute South closes pretty good. I mean, they're pretty solid.
Yeah, they had quite a few head-to-heads over with Columbus East, so that's going to be interesting for seeding purposes. I don't want to talk about that yet, but I mean we're
not there. Yeah, let's not. We don't have to go all the way, right? Yeah. Sean Murphy, the champ at heavyweight, 15-1, 15-1 on the season, junior. Yeah. Got a fall in 108, so that's probably pretty exciting. What was the final team score on that?
They won by 6.5 points, so pretty close. I mean, that's real close. You're talking.
What is a champion and a fall for the final one? That's the other form coming in the last weight.
Points right there, so it came down to the last weight. So.
Columbus East and Terre Haute South for the title. That's I'm sure that's. I'm guessing Tim Murphy and Sean Murphy related. That's probably pretty exciting.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Bo Henry didn't have much there. Twin Lakes, Carnahan, we already talked about that.
Twin Lakes used to be a hammer tournament. They used to be really, really good. I hadn't looked at the results. I know it's a lot of smaller schools, but I remember East Chicago used to go there back in the day, and Patrick Lucio, Timmy Maldonado matchups, late 90s.
Yeah, I believe South Bend Riley won that.
Nice. Congrats to South Bend Riley.
Yep, they did.
Yeah, Marion County, really, really good tournament. Johnson County isn't on track, but congrats to Center Grove. It looks like they dominated. Not Johnson County. Which county are they in?
Yeah, that's Johnson County.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Shout out to the Center Grove Trojans. Yeah. I see that they posted Noah Klauser like a 7-time conference or county champ. He won all 3 counties in middle school and then won all 4 in high school.
They should just name the county after him.
Yep. That's pretty impressive.
With my record of things I say on here happening right now, they might rename it.
Hey, man, let's talk about that when we get there, because that took off like wildfire. Let's talk about Marion County. Marion County. Let's go to City first, because City is in Marion County, but it's Cathedral versus the City. Yeah. But Chatard's getting a lot better, and I think those matchups were a lot closer. And probably Tech, besides Foster. So the City doesn't go to the county tournament, but Cathedral's probably won that a lot. When's the last time Cathedral? We need to get Cameron on the phone to see the last time that Cathedral lost the city championship.
Yeah, last time Cathedral didn't have at least 10 champions.
Oh, do you think they had 10 champions this year? 1, 2, 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They had 8. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Shatar's doing a good job. 1970s for last time they haven't won it. Shatar and Polytech getting a lot better.
Yeah.
Kind of pushing those guys. A lot of good matchups in the championships there. San Bustamante, Dylan Graham.
Yeah, that's it's some of those teams are getting better. Obviously, Polytech's improving. They're pushing their kids. They have quite an interesting schedule. They go quite a different places and see some. They're at Connersville. They went up to Warsaw a couple weeks ago. So they're working to get their kids good, solid competition. Let's see what are the highlight matches. Probably not, Graham Bustamante 5-0.
That's a good one. Both state ranked guys there.
Mm-hmm. Foster's looking pretty good.
He's really good
right now.
Really good.
Ben Obst over Peyton Brown. Hardin was out this week.
Kendrick Hardin, Kyle Hardin, probably a really good one.
Yeah. So Hardin's getting, I assume, probably football, banged up a little bit from football. I think he plays that pretty hard. So he's down at 175. I know there's probably a little bit of a question of where he would exactly end up. So that's going to be a good weight for him. Let's see, Oscar Kirch, Antonio Cesar Rodriguez for Purdue Polytech. Man, Polytech had a lot of finalists. And then Jose Smith. So that's the city. The city is in the county, but the city doesn't go to the county.
Yeah. But Marion County is a really good tournament. Always shakes up the rankings.
Always have some breakout guys that ooh, wow, even some of those teams that are in the middle of the tier or even bottom, they'll have some good kids. I know Beech Grove had a real good tournament a couple years ago, and you're like, whoa, where'd this kid come from? They had 2 or 3 guys that were trying to figure out where they came from.
And you get 2 semi-states represented in your county.
Yes. So
yeah. So Warren Central with the team champs. I think, I know we said it on here. I think that they're kind of sneaky good, especially on the individual side. I think they're going to be they're going to turn some heads. I think they're going to be in the mix.
Yeah, they won. They won by 40 points, that's quite a bit. That's a big gap. So it'll be interesting to see what especially when it's a big gap when you have teams like Perry and Roncalli there also. So
Peyton Shetley, the champ at 106, won by Tech Fall over Colin Clark. Blake Getz, the champ at 113. So Roncalli rolled out the gate pretty good. Pretty good weight. Keegan Dressler, runner-up. Huey Leon was a semi-state champ last year for Perry Meridian, was third.
Yeah, he
that looked like a pretty good match.
Dressler in the final, or in the semis. R.J. Taylor, another semi-state champ for Perry last year, lost to, in the tiebreaker, Richard Rogers of Franklin Central. They took almost a major in the tiebreakers.
Yeah. It sounded like Richard Rogers, Alex Tinley in the semis was really good. I know Quinn was kind of texting me on that. And then Dylan Willis had got into the rankings. So that's a pretty good 4 right there.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Easley over Sean Tankersley. Sean Tankersley had an awesome week last year, got into the rankings. Easley's in the rankings, so that was a good championship match.
Easley over Tankersley. Yeah, Tankersley's had a pretty good year. Gage Clark, Franklin Central, lost to Keith Parker. So,
Keith Parker, the champ, or Josh Foxworthy.
Oh, Foxworthy. Sorry, I totally missed that. Yeah.
I think you had 5 guys that have been in the rankings at some point or on the watch list. Keith Parker, Josh Foxworthy, Gage Clark, Alex Patenko, and Donald Bowie. Donald Bowie had been in the rankings a little bit.
Carol Lavelle over Blake Jones. Val wasn't getting paid by the hour. Made it to the second period one time. So, yeah, he's pretty good.
Dude, I appreciate you filling in, Anthony. I don't believe that you're the handsome upgrade that I heard that Joe was talking about.
Oh, man, he heard that.
I got that texted me so quick. Christian
as a right, at least he's a little more accomplished on the wrestling mat.
Yeah, he has more accomplished for sure. Braden Getz over Moses Stevenson. Ron Colley had a lot of fun with us too.
Yeah. Arbery, did you say Arbery over
yep.
Gomez? So, Cashman over Raymond, Sean Raymond. So yeah. So now we're actually Warren really has. They're pretty tough in the middle, and
yeah, right here, like Cashman kind of starts. I mean, I guess Arbery and I did what you call it? Not Russell. Durham is at 50.
Yeah.
Like Cashman kind of start. Like Arbery starts that run. I guess Kyrell. They're good in this section right here. They're really good.
Yeah. And they've flip flopped those guys around a lot. So it's been. I'm guessing this is probably what I would expect their state lineup to be, their sectional lineup to be. That's one of those things with wrestling duels. They're trying to win duels and they're going to shift some guys around, and it's good to kind of see where it looks like they're going to be for a sectional for rankings and stuff. Yeah, Kressel's pretty good. He's real good.
He's real good. Yeah. I think Warren Central's like pretty like just letting everyone kind of talk about the big three and kind of laying on the backs, like lay it on the outside. Yeah, man, like Center Grove and Crown Point, Brownsburg's really good. They're pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like when they're at firing all cylinders, they're really good.
Yeah, Kressel Tech Fall. Zach Huckabee was a 2-time state qualifier, which you're thinking Kressel was a North Dakota state champion. North Dakota's not exactly the hotbed for wrestling. I mean, they have some good wrestlers, but that's pretty impressive right there. Brenton Russell over Sear Goodwise. Handing him his first loss. 190, Jalen Young, Perry Meridian. Perry Meridian always has good big guys.
Yep, that's a good one too. Cameron Viven had some really good wins this season.
Mm-hmm. And then 215, Brandon Johnson decided to get the token 25-10 Tech Fall in the finals. So
pretty solid.
Yeah, Avon must have after a couple pins made him work a little bit over Jordan Dale, and then the Jacob McClure over Paris Green in the finals there. So I think some real good wrestling. That's a great event. You got a lot of teams coming together, and you're getting to see. It's nice to see a bracketed tournament right now, just so you can kind of see who's have a dual tournament where you're not exactly sure who the third or fourth best guy is there, or some of the matches there. So,
man, Maryville went out to Illinois. I swear, I think this tournament used to be called the Rocket Invite. Now it's the Raptor Invite. I saw Joe Cantu won. Maryville won the tournament. It looks like they dominated. It looked like they won by 100 points. I know they had a handful of champs. I know we talked about it a little bit off the air last year. The Kyle Osborne Memorial Invitational. Kyle Osborne was killed in action. We would just say state qualifier from McCutcheon.
There's an article on it. Someone posted earlier today on the board, so check that out. I think I retweeted it earlier on like Saturday or Sunday. So check that out. It's a real good article. Kind of gives you a little bit of a background of what that's about. So yeah. Let's see. So yeah, Kyle Osborne that's a good solid event. I know Carmel was there. Columbia City, Lafayette, Harrison. Let's see. So Carmel won over McCutcheon, Western, Harrison. So that's some good matches there. So let's talk about this week real quick, and then we'll talk about Team State. We'll finish with Team State.
Yeah.
Because this week's pretty light. on. Actually, we have some really good duels. I was, putting together my graphic today. I'm like, what's I knew this week's a light week, but there's some good duels coming in. Terre Haute South at Bloomington South, that'll be a good one. Obviously Terre Haute South, that'll be a good test for them where they're going to stay in 3A because I know Bloomington South wrestled quite a few of the 3A teams. Used to be Rich East. It's Rich Township. Raptor Invite. Not the same it used to be, but okay.
Okay.
So, going down Compass North at Perry Meridian, there's going to be some good matches there. Compass North, obviously, pretty solid. The battle for I don't know what the school district is. Fishers at Hamilton Southeastern. That should be a pretty solid match. None of the teams are ranked, but they've flirted with being in the team rankings. Let's see. Center Grove at Carmel. Carmel, sounds like Michael Major might be out for the season. That's a pretty big blow for them. Hopefully he's not. Carmel's always going to battle and be tough, so that should be an interesting match. Warren Central at New Pal, that's going to be a real good one. What matches do we potentially have there? We potentially have a Terry Easley, Gunnar Butt, Lavelle, Peyton Hornsby match. That should be a good one. Arbery, Bryce Doss, Paris Green, and William Glessing at heavyweight. So there's some good matches there. Let's see. East Noble at Prairie Heights. East Noble got it. We'll talk about this a little bit more, but East Noble got into Team State for 3A, so there should be that should be a good match for them. Battle for the Goshen Regional. Real big one. The no love lost rivalry, Mishawaka at Penn.
The old Mishawaka Penn rivalry.
Yes, that's it was feisty there for a while. The one year when Mishawaka shut them out, that was ugly.
I thought it got pretty fight. I mean, now it's become a big dodgeball event, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that it's still pretty edgy. Like obviously those guys are pretty close. That's going to be a lot of regional matchups. Winning your regional is huge. Going to Chicago, you're going to want to get that dub because you don't want to draw in some of these tougher region guys, man. But they're tough over there too.
I think was it 2 years ago, 2 or 3?
It was last year, right? Where they charged a mat or something, right? Was that last year?
What year was the one where the guy pinned himself in the last match and won it for? I think Penn Kid pinned himself, and he didn't know he pinned himself, and it was the last match, and Mishawaka ended up winning. I can't.
Last year, was it last year? No, that was in the regional, right? They stormed the mat or something.
Yeah, regional, yes, yeah. So Penn and Mishawaka, they don't like each other.
No.
And it's funny because Mishawaka's coach Sandifer started at Penn.
Yeah.
Penn's coach Harper was a state champion at Mishawaka.
Yeah.
So that makes even more sense. So let's see, you got a Josh Kite, Schmittendorf potential match, Will Mason, Jake Petras, Bo Brabender, Christopher Scott, Mariam Hofield, William Kendi, Vinnie Freeman, Trey Dunning. So some potentially semi-state / state ranked matchups there. That's always a good one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Two of the best teams in the semi-state going at it. It's always exciting.
Yeah. Floyd Central's traveling to Jeffersonville. Faith Christian at McCutcheon Thursday. Hobart at Kankakee Valley. Kankakee Valley, did they get in? No, they didn't. I get them and Rensselaer mixed up for some odd reason.
I think they're rivals. I didn't even know that they're rivals. They said that's a big rivalry. Kankakee Valley and Rensselaer. I didn't even know.
Yeah. The more you know. The battle for number 1, Adams Central at Belmont, 1 and 2A, number 1 and 1A. So, battle for Adams County supremacy, and battle for which class is better. That should be a good one. We'll see.
Will that be covered on WZBD?
I'm afraid I would be very disappointed if it was not. So, hopefully you get some video of that one. That'll be a good one. So those are the duels. Going down, Joe Bourbon, holiday duels, you'll have Rensselaer, Rochester, and West Central, along with Highland, Knox, Kokomo, South Dearborn. So that should be a pretty solid tournament.
What is the grading period at Kokomo? So we know we can get Jalen May back. Jalen May.
Yes, we're getting real close.
That's close, right?
Yeah.
January. I mean, we just did our finals. Yeah. So maybe Jalen May in the mix there, making his debut.
Yeah, the New Prairie Super Duels should be solid. Chesterton, Kankakee Valley, New Prairie, Valpo, and DeKalb.
Jeffrey Hybrid out there becoming a takedown machine, right? He got 67 takedowns at the Munster Super Duel.
Yeah.
They said he was going for 70. I said, man, some guys don't get 67 takedowns in the season.
I might not have had that in my career. I'm not gonna lie. I might not have had that in my career. And Brownsburg is going to be at the Marist Triple Duel with Marist, who is ranked like 30-something-ish. And Warren Township. I don't know how good Warren Township is. And then the big tournament. Actually, there's some girl stuff we'll talk about here quickly. The East Central Indiana Classic. That's always a great event. Findlay, Ohio. Shout out to the Trojans. They're pretty solid. Bluffton. Columbus North's there. Jay County, obviously. The Giants will. The Patriot will be there. Muncie Central, our guy AJ, Newcastle, South Adams, and Winchester, Oak Hill. So that's a good little. That's a really good little tournament. Jay County does a really good job filling that with good teams and good small school teams. And it's I like the Rochester tournament that was last week. They're real good small school tournaments that they're all putting in close to full lineups or full lineups. All of them have, they're different tiers of kids. They have 3 or 4 really good kids that are probably going to push for a spot at state, and then 3 or 4 kids that are in that middle tier, then 3 or 4 kids that are below that. But it's a real good mixture of teams that you get good matches from the semifinals on.
Do they not do the Casting Comet Super Duel anymore?
I think they do, but I don't know when it is.
I remember that was like a 2-day, 10 duel event. I think IndianaMat did an article on it one year. Didn't Chad do it? Do the interview on covered it one year? That used to be a good small school event too.
There's one at Eastern now. That's a 2-day thing, and that's I believe next week. At least it was. So yeah.
I told Cook. I was supposed to tell you. I told Cook that Wheeler should re-up the Valpo Super Duel with all small 1A and 2A teams over Thanksgiving weekend, and then host it at Wheeler. But he said he doesn't have enough mats. I said, you're going to be the guy to hook up. You got to get him some mats there.
Nice. Yeah, we'll work on that. So girls have quite a bit of events this week. Some duels. Brebeuf at Columbia City at Penn, Jay County at Brebeuf, and Wawasee at John Glenn. And then Joe Bourbon has a girls invite. There's a Region 24 girls invite. Mooresville's having some girls. Beach Grove's having a girls tournament. So a lot of girls tournaments this week. 2 weeks. We are 2 weeks away from their regional, which is.
I wonder why, because it's kind of not a ton of, it's not a heavy boys side of matches that they have so many girls matches this weekend. But that's awesome.
Yeah, probably. And this is really their last weekend they can really get much in. So they gotta, for seating, for getting weigh-ins, for everything. So it's a pretty heavy weekend for them.
I know. I think they're pretty heavy on the Thanksgiving weekend too. So not the best travel weekends, but go out, support the girls. If you haven't gone to one of the girl events, they're awesome. A lot of energy in there, a lot of excitement.
So the good stuff. I think that's all for now. Team state. You were in on the votes.
I was in on the vote.
Tell us a little bit about the process, I guess, what goes on with the vote.
Yeah.
And then
from the beginning, everyone's kind of knows.
Well, as far as the voting process, I know, they put out an APB, hey, if you're interested, if you have the points, if you're allowed to be, if you have the schedule and everything, send an email to Dane, and then
but before that, Eric's right. I think the girls side of wrestling's growing so much they might have to do their own Gorilla Radio show. Like, I don't know if we can call it Gorilla Radio. We have to call something else, but we should probably do that because I think it is growing. I was thinking that the other day. We're definitely not doing it any justice. Like especially during the season, like dude, I'm laser focused on all the boy stuff. But that's not a bad idea. I think that's something that we could probably do going forward because I do think that we don't cover it enough on our end, like Joe and I.
Yeah.
It's sorry.
It's tough to keep up with both. I know Brandon does a real good job with it. Have Harper run it? No. I know Brandon does a real good job with the rankings, and it's a little bit it's hard to follow with all the tournaments, and then they have the kind of blocked weights. But yeah, he does a real good job, and I know he
does,
and he's even out of state right now. So that's we'll probably try to do some stuff in the coming weeks, just because it is starting in their state series, and it's going to be real next year. I'm pretty positive. So that's going to be a pretty cool thing. So,
yeah. So team state stuff. So the initial stuff is based off of Malign's like Genius ratings. So and they take a ton of stuff into that. Not only the state tournament, but if you have guys that are out, they also submit that. Guys that you think are going to come in and make an impact, and I think they've done a good job of adjusting. And I do think like freshman, sophomore, middle school state. Johansson kind of said like last week the most region thing ever. I said like you're not always sure who's going to go what school, which is crazy, but it's true.
Yeah.
Unless you're in Illinois, then you just kill kids for like going to schools that they feel like they've been recruited.
Yeah, you just kill their career. They can't even go there anymore. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to do some more research. If you guys don't know, there's a kid out of
Jimmy Nasty.
He wrestled at IPO. He's wrestled at IPO at least twice, if not 3 times. He's a freshman. Real tough. He was a cadet national runner, cadet Greco runner-up. Real tough, and transferred to a school, and they said it obviously was illegal. And they said that if he doesn't go back to his home school or go somewhere else, I guess he'll be suspended for 4 years from wrestling in Illinois. So I'm guessing there's going to be some lawyers involved. Just my professional opinion.
I think transfers count towards your team state if it's someone that's in your school, like, and they're eligible to wrestle. Like, I think they do take that in there. Like, if wrestler A, I don't know who, if Joe was at River Forest to close the year out and he got full eligibility, yeah, they would take that in there. But I don't think they can do it like if it's like he's going to only be partial and you're not going to be eligible. So I do think they take that into account.
A couple of years ago,
but if you're like
somebody that transferred that was ineligible that year but would be eligible the next year, and they did, and I think he was like a previous state, semi-state or better kid.
Was it Littell? Like I think Littell, when he went to Center Grove, like we knew that he was going to be eligible to wrestle Center Grove the next year.
Yeah. Stuff like that. But anything after the state series, that's not calculated in there. But yeah, so that calculation.
Okay.
It's not good, but anyway.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it gets close. It is close.
Yeah, he does a good job. I mean, I could
really good job. Like he's doing some math that like I'm not even doing algebra right, and he's doing some math to like kind of get a formula going. It's pretty amazing. So the first thing to be like considered is you have to submit your information to Dane, and I think like there's people that are like, hey, we're getting robbed. Like that's cool, but like you can't. Like they're not going to put you up if you don't submit like that you want to be involved. So if your team does want to be involved, you want to be voted in, you got to submit your stuff to Dane, which I'm sure his email's on the site. He's on the Hager, Hershey, and Zelt's High School Wrestling Weekly. I can give you his telephone number. He wouldn't appreciate that. But so if you submit your stuff, that's how like the first step of the process is you get this information. And some teams that are really good don't submit, and some teams that are not as good do submit. And they're all equally like processed. So I'm not going to say like this team didn't belong or whatever. But there were good teams that were in contention that we reached out to and said, hey, like you guys haven't submitted anything. And they're like, yeah, we're where we didn't know if we were going to get in, so we filled our schedule. So we kind of crossed them out, or they don't have the date. Like sometimes you can't move stuff, and it just happens.
Yeah.
So that's the first step of the process. If you want to be considered, you have to like send your information in. Yeah. And Zach has done it every year, so I'm sure he has a good idea of how it goes. And be real with it, right? Like don't like say, hey, like we lost every duel, but like what's it gonna hurt? You know, it's not gonna hurt anything. You're right, but like we're gonna cross you off pretty early.
Yeah.
So that's the first part of it. Like the second part is like finding good things for you to compete at and kind of getting some head-to-heads and building your resume. Mm-hmm. And that's really a hard part to do because I think that those guys, the guys that got in, did build good resumes. And it is easier for some of those guys that are close to some of those other schools to do it, but there's teams that are in your area or within an hour of your area. I don't know. What was your guys' thing? I've never coached high school wrestling, so what's your guys' thing? Did you guys go within an hour of your school?
I mean, we were able to go pretty much anywhere. It was, I mean, we went down to Indy, we went to Region, so we could go about within a couple, 2 hours ish. It just depends on what, where we had a lot. We had a lot of flexibility because we weren't in a conference or anything, so we had no real loyalty to anything. So we could do, as long as we wanted to go somewhere and they had an opening and they wanted us, we could go. So it just depends on the schools. It's a little bit different at every school. Some ADs, I know I've worked with some ADs that are like, oh, we have this contract and we can't break this contract, and some ADs are like, dude, we do this all the time. And so it's a as a coach that's dealt with good and bad and mediocre ADs, it's always, I guess, depends on what they if they want to do the work for you, they'll get you in the events and help you increase your schedule or adjust your schedule to what you think's best, and hopefully you do it the right way.
I'll tell you guys like a cheat code, man. Just because you guys are the loyal listeners, man. If you feel that there's someone that got into Team State that you don't think that's very good or they're not going to be very good, schedule them, because that does. One of the things I hear all the time is, oh, Hobart beat whoever. Well, say Hobart beat Carroll. Hobart beat Carroll, and Carroll's already in.
They did beat him.
So, like, that looks good on your resume, right? And I'm just saying that is it good, but that's like one of those things that's a cheat code. It looks good on your resume to beat teams that are already like that. The formula already says is good.
Hey, another cheat code is our schedules are on the website. So if you see in the spring that Hobart gets in, Hobart or whatever, New Prairie or what any of those teams are in, and you say, whoa, they go to this event, I want to be, I'm going to try to go get, I'm going to talk to those, they go to these 2 or 3 events. Hey, let's go try to see them so that we can see, so we can get that head-to-head, and we just missed out on the vote by 3 point, the 3A ones we'll talk about later, but, that was a 1 point difference, and a couple of those teams went out and sought that competition out and said, hey, you know what, we're gonna figure out whether we belong there or not, and that's what Greenfield, we'll say it, Greenfield Central went out and said, we're gonna figure out whether we belong there or not, and we're gonna know. And there's not going to be any question come to the vote. I mean, there was, but still, it was like that. We're gonna try to build that resume. But yeah, so that's the website. Go check them out and say, hey, I want to wrestle Adams Central. I want to wrestle Bluffton. I'm looking at 1A right now. They're obviously you can't get in their conference duels, but you can go see where these guys are and wrestle them.
Yeah,
schedule a freaking duel with them.
The other thing I would say, cheat code wise, and this happened to, it happens all the time, honestly, and I'm not going to say it happened last year. If you have a very good football program, and I told Joe this, and it might sound stupid, wrestle individual tournaments with your little guys early, it will hurt you less. If you lose a head-to-head duel, we're not going to say, hey, Joe had 4 guys out of his lineup that are state qualifiers. Like, if it's a known guy. Yeah. Like, if it's a known guy, like, that's out of your lineup, like, we knew Kyle Harden's really good, right? Yeah. And everyone was talking about these 190 swing matches in this duel with Franklin, and, like, Floyd had this. I was like, hey, man, I don't know who's their 190, but I know it's not Kyle Harden. And if it is Kyle Harden, they didn't beat him, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to lose a lot of matches. And So, like, those are the things, like, if you have really good football and you don't want to take that out, because they will, because that happened last year with Greenfield Central and Columbus East. Like, it was a head-to-head, and we can't say, well, because if we go to, and I'll use that as an example because I know about those guys and they're good dudes. I can't go to, like, Holden and be like, well, Columbus East was missing guys, and Cooper told me they had a couple guys out, because all he's going to say is, yeah, we're missing guys too.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, oh.
He was sick. He was sick all week, and we made him wrestle. And you got that that was a tough one last year. I know.
It was terrible.
We kind of knew. I mean, we did know that they had a couple guys out, but at the same time, they wrestled head to head. You can't. You gotta go off what's there.
And I think that's like one of those. I said it last week, and this is like one of the truest things I probably ever said on this show. Like, there's a lot more ill kids, like 11 through 30, than there is 10 through 1. And like, I get a lot more of those messages, and that's not like me being funny. That's the truth. Like, and like, rankings are not the end of the world, but like, but that's what happens a lot on those teams, and we do know that happens. And like, especially in the smaller classes, like it's a lot tougher to replace someone that's really good in your lineup if they don't wrestle.
Yeah, those 11 30 kids just don't have good immune systems, do they?
Nope. So, and I think that's really, really hard because the smaller your school is, the less depth you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's tough. And that's not like anything to be like, oh man, it just is. That's just the nature of it. That's why they went to a class thing. And whether people feel like that or not, like, and we get that all the time. Well, Indiana's not as tough because they're doing class. Well, one, the IHSA doesn't own it. So, and it's an invite and you can decline. And Paul's in here. America always declines. They love to decline. That's their favorite. But yeah, I don't know if they're declining anymore. I haven't talked to them about it, but I love Paul. He's my guy. So, but like, that's just one of those things. Like, that's the nature of it. Like, I'm not saying that Adams Central couldn't beat Crown Point, but it'd be really, really tough for them to beat Brownsburg right now. But I want them to be. It's so good for the smaller schools, and if you haven't been to the event, like, go check it out. I know, like, where's it at? Let's go there. Rochester's 1A, right?
Yep. J County.
And 2A's J County, 3A's at Franklin, and 4A's at Brownsburg.
So pretty much you should be almost like 2 hours within 2 hours of anything. And like you said there, I know some of the smaller schools have really, one of the things that's really cool at the event, I know a couple of smaller schools coaches have said, dude, we've gotten we've started to promote this event, and I'll talk about this a little bit later when we talk about 3A, but we've already started to promote this event, and we got like 10, 15 more kids out for the team just because they want to be a part of this. And I don't know if they were. I can't remember the school exactly, but I think they were the middle of the pack team for like 1 or 2A, but they got 15 kids to wrestle for whether it was 1 year or 2 years or 4 years, whatever it was, because they promoted it, and they take a lot of pride in that. And I know the smaller schools really, really take a ton of pride in the event.
I know out of like the East Chicago, I know like Winamax said that in the past, that it's like really like something they help build. I know Faith Christians has said that. That's really helped build their program. Go to the events. Like, if you're a team that's kind of like on the cusp and you're like, well, I don't even know if we'd go, like the 1A, like when it was at the Coliseum, the 1A, like those guys traveled crazy good, and it was like excited and they were loud, and their crowds rivaled the 4A or 3A, whatever it was, in 3A crowds. And it's really cool to see the excitement there.
Yeah.
And like a lot of those duels are coming down. We talked about it early on with that Rensselaer-Hobart duel. It's coming down to guys that maybe will never make it to state. And that's the coolest thing about like the sport to me, is the team aspect, is like it could be anybody that it's going to come down to and say, hey, save points or get a big win.
Yep.
And everyone would love, because I think 1 year like Brayton Lee closed it out for Brownsburg. Everyone would love that. It's not always that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to be the guy that maybe is never going to have that opportunity, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's happened a few times. A couple years ago, I remember, I want to say it was Adams Central, Prairie Heights, or whatever. It was a 1A final, and it was two guys that were that if it combined, they might have had 10 total wins. And it came down. It was the last match, and I think it was either tied or within one match, and one kid won, and he was the hero, and he won't remember going 0-2 at sectional, but he'll remember that for sure.
No, and I think that is so. So like I guess my thing, and I don't get any money from it. I don't get money for being on the panel. I get more grief. I don't get any money for that. But I don't get like a cut of the gate. I'm not like a percentage guy. But like being in those environments, we were at Brownsburg last year. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And Brownsburg did it up. And I think Brownsburg. I know Kyle does not. I asked Kyle straight out. They do not want to host it, but their AD does want to host it. And Kyle's like, I don't want my varsity guys there rolling mass the night before. That's not my thing. But
he won't be doing it, so what's his varsity kids doing?
Well, he's going to be supervising, he said.
Oh, jeez.
But like having it at one location was really cool. So, start at one. We'll start at 1A, and then we'll go 4A, 2A, because I think 2A and 3A have really, really taken to this a lot. 1A, only a couple teams submitted.
Mm-hmm.
Like there wasn't a lot there wasn't a lot of teams to like vote through. There, I think so, and then it was pretty clean. I thought South Adams did really good. South Adams got in. They were a vote-in team. I guess what teams were in before? I guess we should do that too.
Adams Central, Bluffton, Cascade, Cowan. This is alphabetical order, by the way, guys. It's not
alphabetical order.
Alphabetical order. The ABCs.
How do you hit an LMNOP? No.
So North Miami, Prairie Heights, Rochester, Southmont, Tell City, 3-time defending champions, Tell City. You need to preface there, and then West Central. So those were the 10 teams already in. So then they added 2 more.
The Fighting Fritz brothers, man, they're good.
They probably do fight. And then
I think they're cousins. They're not brothers. They're cousins.
Okay. So then South Adams and Faith Christian got the votes. I mean, from what it sounds like, South Adams had a pretty. That was pretty much a lock. They had beaten Cowan, Bluffton, gave Adams Central a real good match. That helps when Bluffton and Adams Central's in their conference that they automatically see them. They did pick up a duel with Cowan, and kind of that when you get some wins over people in the field. Did I lose you, Mike? Yeah, it looks like I lost Mike. Let's see. So yeah, the Faith Christian was one of the last votes in there. Let's see. Oh, great. Of course, Mike's just sitting there. Oh, there you there.
Sorry, I lost my internet for a second. Yeah. Okay. I told you they're changing the internet outside, man. They're trying to get me to jump to like surf internet. I don't know what that is.
So I just said gave up. South Adams got, like I said, South Adams was pretty unanimous, and then Faith Christian was, I think, fair.
That was a tough vote. Like Milan had some good results too. They went to Ohio and had some really tough. Had a good event that day, but Faith Christian had a good win over Chittard at the thing that Chittard hosts.
Yeah,
like 1A, 2A, like they went out and found the matches that they wanted. Chittard put on an event that was going to build resumes, and with Chittard being in the mix, Faith Christian got the nod there, and that was like one of the tougher ones, honestly.
So then 4A.
Again, not a ton of teams submitted for 4A.
Yeah, and as we said, Penn was one that was in the mix. I know we were talking about them. They were one of those teams that's like, it's going to be close. Let's just go get an event. And that's, you can't hold that against them. I think that's you get an opportunity to, you're going to wait around for this vote, which the vote's at a good time. You got to give teams the time to build their resumes and stuff, but you also, you're stuck as a coach. You're stuck in a spot like, hey, I think they're going to Ohio for something, from what I've heard. But they're like, we have this opportunity. We got to jump on it now, And obviously, I think Penn's as good as any team that's 3 through 8 right there.
Yeah, they're solid. They're solid top to bottom.
Yeah, I think they could finish anywhere from 4 to 8. They might finish fourth, but they might finish eighth. So they're just like, hey, you know what? Let's go somewhere else, and make sure we have a solid event that day. And it is what it is. That's just the nature of our beast. Unfortunately, we can't have a full, true in-season tournament, but hey, that works. So
maybe who knows?
Yeah.
But so the team that submitted, Avon had been wrestling really well. Avon was a lock right away. They went down to Mater Dei. They beat Mater Dei. They went up to New Haven. They won New Haven. I think their only loss, and it's hard. And we talked about it. Like, we're living in a time where we have 3 teams that are possibly 3 of the best teams, dual teams to come through Indiana.
Yeah.
And it's arguably, and I'm not going to argue with everybody all night, but Brownsburg, Crown Point, Center Grove, all nationally ranked in the Fab 50, all incredibly good.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Ironman. All 3 were at Ironman. They're 3 of probably the best teams that ever come through. I mean, Center Grove qualified almost their entire team. Some teams don't even get that many guys at a regional. Center Grove had that many guys at the state finals. They had a full team practice the day of the state finals. So it's hard. Avon had lost to Brownsburg pretty bad.
Yeah.
But you almost got to toss that one out the window. And Avon was a unanimous vote. They were easy.
Yeah,
that was an easy one.
They were also at Cathedral, where they wrestled Floyd, beat Floyd, Greenfield Central, Warren Central, who's a good team. Cathedral, obviously having a couple guys out possibly, but still.
Warren and Cathedral were both in. There was 2 wins over 2 teams that were in. So Avon was and then they beat Mater Dei, who was up for a vote.
Mm-hmm.
So that was easy. The next 3 was a little bit tougher. Fishers, Carmel, Mater Dei. Once Penn, I think Penn and Mater Dei would have been a really tough vote.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been interesting. We didn't debate it. It would have been interesting to see where that would have went.
Lost you again.
Oh man.
Okay, we're
there. There you go. I'm back.
Yeah.
Did Fishers and Carmel wrestle each other?
Yes.
I have the information. So I believe that Carmel had a win over them, so it became like Carmel versus Mater Dei, which they haven't wrestled, but it's, Carmel beat Fishers, and it just became Mater Dei versus Carmel, and especially I think Carmel lost to Greenfield Central that day, and it sounds with Majors out, it's going to be tough, So I believe they ended up the alternate. Milan's the alternate at 1A. So 2A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams submitted information.
Oh, wow. So we have Belmont, Delta, Hamilton Heights, alphabetical order again, guys, just to remind you. Jay County, Mechanical, Monrovia, New Prairie, Wawasee, and Western. We're already in, and you said 10 teams. Ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah, 10 teams submitted information for the vote-in. And we voted in 2 spots, which is an expanded spot from 1 last year.
Yeah.
Which was expanded from none the year before that.
Yeah.
And that, again, getting sidetracked, that's the beauty of the event with the IHSAA not running it and the Coaches Association. And we're going to talk about it a lot in the next one.
Yeah.
Is that they're kind of like, hey, let's do what's best for our sport. Floyd Central, was it Floyd that was out? No, Columbus East Floyd was out 1 year. They got it and they took it to the championship.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, they said, hey, let's make sure that we start getting a spot where if someone's deserving and we can get a vote in.
Yeah.
And they changed it.
COVID year, I think they already had everyone solidified, and then someone dropped out. I want to say it was Columbus East. I know they were one of the teams that dropped out, and then they picked up Floyd last second, literally the week of, and they had run it to the finals. And they're like, oh, maybe we should do that more often. And then they did it. So
and shout out to the IHSAA guys that are on the committee. Greg Laratliff, who is kind of the head of that. Dane, who's had a huge hand in doing this. That those guys are open to suggestion, which we all know in this wrestling world that a lot of people aren't.
Mm-hmm.
are not. And so of the 10 teams that were in, 2 asked to be withdrawn from consideration for scheduling, and I don't know. We didn't get a breakdown of the other reason why. I'm not going to like go into like who it was or whatever. I don't think that's a big deal. But Oak Hill submitted their stuff really late, so I think Oak Hill was really, really like kind of this. So they were anything. I think they submitted their stuff the day of.
Yep, you're back. You stuttered for a second.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Oak Hill had a pretty decent resume, from what I can tell. You there?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and Dane put together a great list of who's in, like where they did, and like and actually Coach Cook sent over a really cool list too of like where everyone met up. But it was more for the 3A. But like Dane had a huge list, like so. You know, what they had to go off of, where the results were at, were there any head-to-heads? So head-to-heads, obviously, if you hit, like, we're going to have to cross those out. So the first vote in ended up being Oak Hill. Like, Oak Hill ended up being the first team voted in. They did a really good job. And then the second one came down between Rensselaer and Mount Vernon. And Rensselaer had a huge win during the week. They beat Faith Christian. They had a huge win against Hobart that week. And I think that win really propelled them into the team state. Their only loss of the year was to Maryville, who's really good. Maryville's always in the mix. And I think they also beat Lowell, who was in consideration for 3A. Yeah. And Mount Vernon.
Posey.
Posey.
The deep south one. I know some people were saying that they thought they might get in, and they were right there, obviously.
It was close. That was like probably the second closest one. Like voting wise, that was very, very difficult. Was Mount Vernon and Rensselaer, and that Hobart win really pushed them to the top. And like I said, like go find the teams that are in, because they're going to look at resume. It's not always black and white, but that's a huge win. They're like, well, these guys beat 2 teams that are up for 3A, and it's like, yeah, they did, you know, and. So that's kind of how that ended up being, I think, the deciding factor there.
Yeah. So
like losses don't disqualify you.
Yeah.
So if you lose to someone good and you're competitive there, I think it's good. Like I'm not saying if you're Southridge, go try to schedule Center Grove, like, but if you do, good for you, man. I like that. Yeah. So 3A. Last week we spitballed some stuff on the show. So what like kind of, I guess let's break down this. You know, we don't have the rewind button.
Yeah.
But we were talking about 3A is an 8-team bracket. 3A and 4A are both 8-team. 2A and 1A are 10-team.
12.
And 12 is 12? They're 12?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 12 team. So 3A has been kind of the tough one for a couple years because there's a ton of parity there. And there's a couple teams in that lost some guys and guys moved. And you're never going to ask someone to drop out. That's just not. And they're like, well, what do you think? And I said, like, you can't do that. Like, you just can't. You're not going to go to someone and say, hey, you shouldn't be in this. Because it's saying the value of wrestler A is more important than your team, and I don't think that's right.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Yeah, there's a lot of volatility in there. In that, like last year, I think it was last year or the year before, when Columbus East had some guys. You know, they had some turnover in their lineup. They had a lot of seniors, and then they brought in 3 or 4 guys, 2 or 3. There were a couple guys that placed at freshman sophomore state that filled in for their lineup last year, and then they made a run to the finals, and they're like, you can't, you know, they had like 7 or 8 seniors that the year before, and so there's a lot of volatility in those lineups. Kids, you know, not coming out, kids getting hurt, kids moving, whatever, and teams can really, at the 3A level, there's not, the replacement is a little bit harder for those teams, so it's one of those, there's just, they aren't the 4A level where if Brownsburg has a guy out, they can fill in pretty well. If Mater Dei has a guy out, they can usually fill in pretty well. At 3A, you have a little bit less of that, and it's also if the kid's good enough to make your lineup better, he's in your lineup most likely, whether it's up or down a weight. I talked to Greg. I sent him a text Tuesday morning. I'm like, I'm sorry, I made a suggestion. It's really good though.
It was. You knew that call was coming because I got that text in the group pretty early. Like, is this happening? Like, what is this? So the teams that are in. So I guess let's show how that happened. So the teams that are in that were in before were Roncalli. We're doing it alphabetical.
Yeah, alphabetical. We don't want to do rankings. Columbus East, DeKalb, Fort Wayne Snyder, Mishawaka, Roncalli, and Terre Haute South. So 6 teams in. Originally was an 8-team field, going to be an 8-team field with 2 vote-ins. And like I said, we were spitballing it. I'm like looking through it, I go, why can't they have 10? And we go, oh crap, let's make it 12. I talked to Greg a little bit. Go ahead.
You can watch last week's show. That's exactly how it happened. We were talking about the Floyd, New Pal beating Roncalli, kind of put them in. And then Floyd and Franklin, we were like trying to nitpick because there was only going to be 1 extra spot. Yeah. And I literally think Joe said it just like that. Like, do 10. Like, no, let's do 12.
Yeah.
And it just took off.
Mm-hmm. I talked to Greg, and he's like, sell me on it. I go, number one, you don't want to ask, like you said just a minute ago, you don't want to ask teams to drop out. They're building their seasons around it. They're especially now in the spring, they're getting their their vote. They're going like, dude, yes, well, they're gonna have shirts made, some of them. And they're gonna really promote that to their kids in the off season, really try to build around it. And you can't be like, guys, are you really that good? That's not a good thing to do. Whether they're as good as we thought they were going to be last spring, whether we thought they're as good as we thought they were going to be in the spring, we can argue that all day long. So then, then I'm also like, I would rather, one of the things when they went to 4 classes, they originally had 8 teams with 1A and 2A because there was go 8, 8, 8, 8. And then a lot of people were saying, dude, it's going to be harder for you guys to pick the 8 teams and not miss somebody. And the main thing is you don't want to miss teams. Yeah. I would rather have a couple soft teams than miss a team. Miss one team. I'd rather have 4 soft teams in this field and miss a team. And the team that's deserving, the team that's competitive. And 3A is a division where it's deep enough that the teams in 8 to 12, 9 to 12 area are still going to be competitive. They're still going to have a couple state and a handful of semi-state ranked kids at the very worst. So,
well, 4A
go to 12.
I'll tell you right now, if 4A wouldn't go 12 because only 3 teams submitted information.
Yeah.
Like, and 1A and 2A already go to 12.
Yeah. So it's right now 3 or 4A doesn't have, I guess, the teams that want to, or the teams that, feel that they can compete at that level. You have to submit it and say, hey, I think I have a chance here. I think I can, whether it means you can win or be top 4, whatever that is. But we had that conversation. I talked to Greg, and I guess I convinced him enough to put it up to the vote. And I know that was it was pretty quick turnaround. Shout out to Greg.
I talked to Greg also that day. Yeah. I'm sure Dane talked to Greg that day. We also talked. So there was a lot to it. So they had to call Franklin and ask, hey, can you handle the expansion of it? And I guess they're doing elementary school duels the next day. So they're like, yes. And then you have to take it to the vote. So you were talking to him, I was talking to him. We're trading text. I'm trading text with people that are like, is this happening? I'm trading text with Dane. I'm talking to Greg automatically. We're in the group text, so my phone was going crazy too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think 12 teams submitted information for 3A to be voted in, to be considered. So 3 in 1A, 3 in 4A, which is a big percentage of those groups already. I think 4A is the smallest group. If you put 12 teams in, it's just not going to happen. Like there was
40-ish teams there anyway.
Yeah, I think of the 40 teams, like 5 declined off top. Like they were just like, yeah, we're not going to do it. So yeah, like 12 teams submit information, which is a lot. It's a lot of teams. It's a lot of information.
Yeah.
Of that, the 4 that were easy, I guess, like, which made it easy was New Pal was going to get in. They already, like, we were all aware. Them beating Ron Cali basically said, hey, New Pal's getting in.
Mm-hmm.
So then we were going to, like, then we were sweating, like, okay, Floyd lost to Cathedral. Franklin beat Cathedral. Some people felt Floyd was better. Some felt like, well, Franklin has a better win than they do. So, like, it's hard. Like, how are you going to pick both of those, right?
Yeah.
And like, then at that point, then you're going to have a really upset community if Franklin feels like they have a head-to-head over a team that's getting in ahead of them, and then, like, also, we want you to use your house. Like, that didn't go into it, but I'm thinking, like, man, for me, that would be kind of sucky, right?
Yeah.
So those 3 were in. And then Greenfield Central's only 2 losses were, again, they might wrestle the toughest schedule in the state.
Yeah.
They have losses to New Pal and Floyd, so they're like, well, we're eliminated. I thought those 4 were easy.
Yeah.
Those 4 were in. And then Greenfield went out and beat Carmel that day. So those 4 easy. Next one's a little bit tougher. It was a little bit more tricky. 2 teams asked to be withdrawn after that to be taken out of consideration. Then it became 1 team was a little bit tougher. Lowell wrestled a tough schedule. They're down some guys. They had lost to Highland that night. They had lost to Hobart. Hobart had lost to Lake Harrison and Lake Central. They lost to Rensselaer that day. Lake Central is a really good 4A team. They did not submit information. I think they could have been. They had been in the mix to get that vote, that 4A vote. So it was like Hobart. It came down to Hobart, East Noble, New Haven, Martinsville. Is that it? Is that like, say for 2 more, right?
Yeah, I think those are the 4 main ones that you told me.
Okay.
In the mix.
Yeah, so it became really, really tough to vote those ones.
Yeah.
Because now you're really, like, picking hairs against some teams that haven't really seen each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, of those 4, they hadn't wrestled each other, except for East Noble had a head-to-head over New Haven at the Northeast 8 conference.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I did was check to see if the Ocampos wrestled for New Haven, because I think that would be like a caveat, because I know sometimes they do the female events. Yeah. So Hobart ended up getting the first voting on that one. So Hobart got in. They had the strong resume, and it sounds like Coach Joe Hanson's still trying to, like, even improve the resume next year. And then Martinsville just didn't have that signature win. Like that they were kind of looking for, but they are really good. They had wins over Monrovia, who was in the smaller one, Bloomington South, Jasper, and Mount Vernon Posey, who was up for a vote. And they just felt that the East Noble win over New Haven, and East Noble had a really good North 8 conference. What is it, Northeast 8?
Yeah.
Conference, and I think that kind of pushed them ahead.
Yeah.
So, and I think Martinsville ended up being the alternate over New Haven. But going to 12, and, like, the committee, and I think they wanted it to be an unanimous vote. I think it was 8 of us on the committee, and it wasn't like, I think they didn't approve it until everyone voted.
Yeah.
As I was texting you, like, I don't, like, it's like 7 people voted. There's 1 waiting, and he hasn't said, yeah, we're going with it.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Like I said, like, I know I wrestled in some IHSA, like, semi-states and, like, team regionals, but, man, I think that's a really cool thing that the Coaches Association runs this, and they're able to make changes on the fly if they want to.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think if they were able, if they gave it back to the IHSA, I don't think it'd be ran with the same type of energy that it's ran with now.
Yeah.
Just to say, hey, like, we have a problem, let's fix it.
Mm-hmm. And
like Greg's awesome.
Yeah, and he's coaching in Ohio right now.
and it's not like we haven't always had like the best like IndianaMat and that Coaches Association, like old Coaches Association. We're always like on the best pages. Like we weren't always the same. Like they kind of got us kicked out of the Scholastic duels. More you than me. Like we've never been nominated, even though I think that we kind of are the media of wrestling in Indiana. We've never been nominated for the Hall of Fame, talked about for the Hall of Fame. I felt awkward there last year. Yeah. Like these guys probably really don't want me here. But like the newer guys that are in there, and I don't know, they don't say like, hey man, we like you or we don't like you, but those dudes have been very open. Trent McCormick, when he was doing it, was very open to IndianaMat being involved. Mm-hmm. Greg Ratliff has been amazing on this, and like, because in this like wrestling world, there's not a lot of people that like it's kind of our way or the highway, and he's always been like to say, hey, like he asked me like, is it that close of a vote? I'm like, yeah, dude, it's that close. Like we might leave a high placer out, and we might hurt some real feelings. Yeah. And it's not like, oh man, like everyone's soft. Like legitimately, Franklin and Floyd they belong. All those teams belong. Yeah. All 6 teams that are getting in belong there, and I wouldn't be shocked if those guys won a lot of matches.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if those teams are all top 6. I mean, all those the 4 easy ones definitely would not be surprising if they were, right there in that top 6. Yeah. So,
and it's not like like we're just like pandering and letting everyone in. And everyone's getting a trophy. Like no, like there's like 6 legit teams that are there, mm-hmm. And like more and 2A and 3A have really, like 3A especially, like those guys have really embraced this event. They're building their schedules to try to get those matches. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know the history of Greenfield Central scheduling, but like, I know Holden's trying to get Columbus East early on. He's trying to get New Pal. He's trying to get those guys to build a resume to be at the event, and they're excited.
Yeah, and Floyd went up to Cathedral, which is a crazy, tough day of wrestling this year, early in the season. And that's tough to see those kind of matches early in the season, knowing that that's going to be, you want to get in the team state. I mean, it's one of those things. You got to take that risk to get in there, and hope you guys are ready. I mean, that's you got to build that resume, and it didn't. And like you said, you don't want that to hurt someone like Greenfield Central, who said, "Screw it, we're gonna beef our schedule up, especially early in the season, and we're gonna, have a resume that says we belong, or have a resume that says, yeah, guess we don't, and you can't."
And obviously, Coach Cook was at Hobart, they were voted in, and Joe Hansen's in here now. Like, those guys, same thing. They're not shying away from competition. They want to build the best resume to say, hey, this is what they're trying to win everything. They're not taking a goal off so they can have a bad loss on their record, And I think it means a lot to those schools and those programs. Yeah. The watch parties are really cool, man. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm glad that I think they knew. I just don't want to watch the. I haven't seen any of the watch parties where they don't get in. I don't know if I would want to see that. Make sure pretty well locked.
I mean, the show Dane runs it at 7, right? I mean, 7 your guys' time, 6 our time. The vote's done by 3. There.
Oops. Get your internet up. As he said, the vote is about 3 or 4 their time, so it is done. And we're back. You there?
There we go. Yeah, sorry. So, yeah. My internet's telling me it's time to go to bed.
Your net's going to bed. Yeah. So yeah, you said that was usually done about 3-ish. I think that's when.
Yeah. 3 my time, like 3. I think it went to like 405 or something.
Yeah, probably a little bit longer this year when you have to vote in 4 extra teams in one division.
Honestly, Greg gets things done, man.
Yeah.
Like he's like, hey, let's vote on it. Put it in the chat. Like that's enough talking.
Yeah.
Like we talked about it. We got all the information. You guys ready to make a decision? And if someone's no, they want to keep talking about it, we will. But like they're like, hey, let's put it to a vote.
Yeah, no, that's good. But yeah, it's a I applaud them for on the fly a week of.
Yeah.
I told Greg I promised for more crazy ideas for another week.
The Tuesday before the vote on Sunday.
Yeah. And they made a hard pivot, and I mean, hey, it got some traction with the right people, and they're like, dude, that's not a bad. I mean, it's going to be a bad vote. It's going to hurt some feelings, and I mean, that's a tough vote, and as I said, you don't want to miss teams. I would rather have 2, 3 soft teams than miss a team 1 year. Because it's happened before where there are some teams that thought when they had all the votes done in the spring, there are some teams that got missed. 100% teams got missed. And I know when I was at Carroll, my first year there, we didn't get in. East Noble got in. We smoked them. We beat them bad. And, it was like, we couldn't do anything about it. They just didn't perform. East Noble performed better during the state series, and we end up beating them. It's like, we should have been in team state. What do you say at that point? You can only control what you can control. It sucked. Yeah. I would have loved to be there because I think we could have done fairly well. But it's now that they have the 2 votes, 2 vote-ins. I think 2 is a good number. I think that gives you the formula is great, and I couldn't do it. Is it perfect? No, it's not going to be perfect. It'll never be. It's never been intended to be perfect. And it's been, having those, and they've always had a vote. They've always had that vote in for at least 1 or 2 spots because you want to be able to analyze what's coming in. Do they have freshmen coming in? Do they have some good kids here or there? Did they have, freshman, sophomore states really come on the past few years? That's a good indicator, but having that vote has helped, make an imperfect formula better. Now that we have the vote in the winter in December, I think it's better, and teams will really take pride in it, and that's the biggest thing. I know, and I'll say it that I was when Team State was initially dropped. I know Derek Snyder was very upset, and he still is, and I remember having lots of email conversations, text conversations with him, and the coaches association was kind of, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? There was talks of having just some kind of Hall of Fame invitational where they invite 6, 8 teams and wrestle duels and enjoy camaraderie, whatever it was, and me and Chad were talking with Derek because that's stupid. Don't do anything. If you're gonna do something right. Don't do that. That's not gonna. No one's gonna want to do that. You're not gonna bring that prestige to it. You're not gonna do. And so Derek was very adamant, and we bounced some ideas off each other and stuff. And I have the receipts. I still have those in my email. Derek is one that should get a lot of credit for it, and he doesn't. And that was the year that there were some issues at Mishawaka and stuff, and he really spearheaded it behind the scenes that people don't understand, and I don't think he gets the credit he should get for it, because he was very hard, like, do this is what we need to do, and they ended up getting it right first few years, and it's expanded. There's always some things they're kind of trying to tweak. I know there's some rumors of some possible changes coming soon. I'm not going to say them, but it'll be interesting if they can get that to work out. If they can, it'd be awesome. It's going to be very difficult for them to get what I was told to go through, but they've kind of jumped through some hurdles for this whole event, and I'm, it's very prestigious now. It's teams take a lot of pride in it, and that is what the goal from the beginning was, and it's really taken off. And I think possibly the HSA is kind of like looking at like maybe we could have done that, and I think they, teams are making some money off it, and that's good. I wish it was one venue. It's gonna suck to be watching 4 different venues, while you're at one. But so that's my big long rant. It's pretty cool to be able to spearhead that, and hey, I'll relax any crazy ideas for at least a couple weeks.
Man, I got Brockfield said I got an echo on here. I got a mic. I just never used it because I didn't know I was echoing.
Nope. No one else has said there was one for a second.
The guy Brockfield looking out. I like it, man.
Yeah. So. Whew. That was a good long show.
Yeah.
And a good long pre-show.
Yeah. Well, the pre-show was long. We had a lot of stuff talking and some rumor.
After show, we'll probably talk for a few minutes.
Yeah. The rumor mill kind of cooking a little bit. Some weight adjustments and stuff, especially for Team State. Yeah. Really cool event, man. If you're not wrestling that day, and a lot of these guys will be, like, hit those sites, man. Really check them out. I think the atmosphere is awesome. Yeah. A lot of good wrestling.
I know like Rochester has a spotlight. They'll probably do a spotlight there.
Brownsburg has a spotlight.
Brownsburg does. I don't know what Franklin will have a flashlight or something, and Jay County will have the Patriot there, overlooking the action.
They have a spotlight too, right? Do they have a spotlight also, Jay County?
I think they do. At least I don't believe they do, but I may be wrong. I try to stay out of that school. The Patriot scares me, and I've said mean things to him. I've called it J-Tucky a couple times, so so I don't want to anger him.
I try to stay out of the prediction game. We used to do show predictions all the time, and then people would throw it back in my face. So we try not to do predictions on the board as much as we used to. Yes. I did post like what I thought the 3A or 4A seating would go, and something like, dude, I got like so many texts today, how, and I'm thinking like, I don't know, man. Like I was at work and I was bored. Like I just did some things together. And partly for me, it's like selfish because I'm like, that'd be a cool matchup.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, a lot that you like, man, I really want to see that. I want to see Cathedral and I think they match up really well with Brownsburg or whatever, And last year didn't they wrestle? Yeah, they wrestled. They're like, man, they match up fairly. That's gonna be an interesting matchup, And they end up having a good matchup. So.
I think what's really shout out to Dane and Rex and WCBD. I know we give them a hard time. They do a good job. That's an awesome show. The next one might not be as cool. It's gonna be like in Rex's like hole in his basement where he keeps people at, But when he gives them the lotion, man. So I think one of the really wild things at 3A is you have these 3 really, really good teams, and you have 3 like legendary teams, right? And the 3 legendary teams might, like, just based on kind of where the rankings are right now, like Mater Dei, who has a bunch of state titles, Cathedral, who also has a bunch of state titles, and Perry Meridian, who also has a bunch of state titles, might draw those big 3 right off the bat. So you have like, those could be really, I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but those could be really lopsided duels. Yeah. Like that, some really proud, long legacy programs might get shut out or be on that like shutout brink.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that works out, especially after holidays, and gonna be some good wrestling. We got a good week next week. This week's a little bit light, but next week we got some big holiday tournaments. We'll probably be on Tuesday next week. I can do Christmas
Tuesday next week.
It's
the day whenever Dave Doster's done wrapping presents.
Yes. Maybe he's trying to crowdsource some help with wrapping presents. Is that what he's trying to do? So yeah.
I usually put a Christmas story on his background when I'm wrapping presents, but he likes IndianaMat, so hey man, who can blame him?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be on next Tuesday. I'm pretty positive no one wants to. I mean, I'm sure people would watch us.
Yeah.
But
light the Yuletide. What is it? I don't know.
I mean, we're not going anywhere, so hey, if anyone wants to get on,
they but Al Smith coming up will probably have some pre-seed stuff that we'll look at, and that's going to be an awesome event, man. Steve's done a really good job with that.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough tournament. Connorsville, we'll actually get to see results. Mooresville, yeah. If you just go to the next week, this week, if there's this week, next week, and last week now, so you can kind of see what's going on. I think I have all the brackets loaded in there. Lots of good events. Modern Day Classics, Spartan Classic, North Montgomery,
Mooresville.
Yep, the Cub Classic. I heard the announcer there is not too bad. I don't know if is he going to do double duty announcing and ref?
Stalls and falls, second best in the business.
Stalls, falls, and calls. He's calling people to the mat. You're going to get pinned. Guess who you have as the ref? It's me. Stalling. I can see him doing like everything.
Dude, he's doing everything, man. Dustin's awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But I think we're going to... You have anything else to say, I don't think, do we?
Nope, I don't think that was it, man. We got it all.
Okay, so we will be back.
Merry Christmas.
Yep, everyone have a great Christmas. We'll be back Tuesday, and we'll have lots to talk about. So with that, we'll let you guys go.